authorized, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor of approving the agenda, please vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, motion carried. The next one is approval of the minutes. I'm sorry, I should have just done this in consent agenda. I apologize, ladies. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Okay, we're now in the time of public comment. Just please note, this is a special meeting, so public comments need to be limited to what is on the agenda. So, which is the budget work session, and we have 5 resolutions. So if you wish to make a comment, please come on up, give your name and where you're from, and you have 3 minutes.
We have the work session on the agenda before. We have the work session on the agenda before.
Joann Collins for Winterset. I'm a longtime member of one of our town's 5 service clubs, and we were informed during our February board meeting that the fieldhouse project is on hold pending a vote that will likely not happen until November. The committee has paused aggressive fundraising pending this vote, and while they are also receiving lots of community conversation about the project. So our service club board would not be asked for any donation decision at that time. That info was a month ago. Now I'm contemplating or assuming that that work group is contacting their potential funding partners. And so I guess I was surprised to see that item on the agenda. You out of the loop again or what? The resolutions for outsourcing custodial service and human resources. When I worked in the courthouse, actually, Denny was on call 24/7. Even when he was out of town, the supervisors would call him. We have a problem, we need you to fix. Well, I'm in Wisconsin, so I think that you're on your own. I think our expectation is that custodial service is available 24/7 as needed. You never know what's gonna come up, and it's not just cleaning, it's a lot of other things. I guess I can't wait to hear about trips in the middle of the night from the Board of Supervisors when they have to handle some of those things. I think local people's expectation is that local people will work in local jobs. So, thank you.
Anyone else?
Go ahead, Pat. I'll wait.
No. It's Navin from Winterset, and I can pretty comfortably say I've negotiated more employee contracts than anybody in this room. President of local night until I retired 2 years ago.
Will you speak up, please?
The microphone's working, but I just said I was the president of local 90 Teamsters. I've negotiated more employee contracts than anybody in this room, unless you can prove me wrong. I doubt it. And several times it come up, and usually it's the custodial end that they want to privatize. You look into these private companies, and you know, if you're a small business or something, you need somebody to come in and clean a few times a week, that's fine. Just like Joann was saying, these are people they, you know, depend on. They come in and fix things. They know what's going on. You get a private firm, they're not going to have the same people every 6 months. They're going to be changing them out. People don't want to get stuck in a minimum wage job cleaning anything. And that's all they do is clean. They wouldn't be on call. They wouldn't have the same services. These private firms, they come in and give you a quote, and within a year or two, they're coming back with a new quote. It ain't as low as that first one. Pretty soon you're paying more than what you were paying to have a local person doing the work that you could depend on. And that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Vicky Brenner, Winterset. We citizens have been asking for accountability and fiscal responsibility for over a year. Instead, we get nothing but chaos and controversy. Board members have touted your experience and expertise in various areas, including the private sector, specifically IT and telecommunications. However, the decision to outsource IT has been a disaster, causing loss of productivity for county employees. Now Supervisor Stansel has introduced the idea of creating an IT liaison less than a year after outsourcing our competent and qualified IT director. Please make it make sense. Was this a fiscally data-driven decision or motivated by a personal agenda to outsource anyone who doesn't assimilate into her agenda? I believe Supervisor Stansel has referred to these targeted employees as, quote, problem children, end quote. These RFPs were put together in a haphazard manner without even basic information like a detailed job description or even a basic understanding of their daily workflow. After the RFPs were sent, you couldn't answer basic questions from those respondents, so you had to call upon the maintenance director in a public meeting to share his institutional knowledge of a job you intend to fire him from. Regarding the EFPs for both HR and custodial, to make a data-driven decision, you have to compare apples to apples. And in addition to losing local employees who contribute to our local economy and have personal stake in serving the public, outsourcing will lead to fewer services, no in-house support, and sending money out of our economy. Supervisor Stansel voiced strong opposition about allowing the Veterans Affairs Director to stay in his office until the building is sold because of HIPAA and security concerns should a realtor be showing the property. Yet she is fine with outsourcing both HR and custodial to companies where you will lose control over hiring practices and background checks. You will have no idea who is in your building. We are still in recovery mode from the unauthorized contract with Bergman signed by former Auditor Kaczynski without board approval. He was given free access to the annex and to the courthouse. If these decisions to outsource HR and custodial employees are driven purely by budget concerns, and we don't have money to pay for our staff or to pay bills for the public health building, then we certainly don't have money to support the City of Winterset's fieldhouse project. If we're selling a county asset for budget shortfalls, why would we give money to pay for another municipality's asset? In closing, I want to end with something positive. I want to offer my support and appreciation to Supervisor Hobbs for continuing to pursue further testing of the old EMS building in order to protect the safety and well-being of our employees who have access to that building. I would ask that you receive and file my comments today.
Motion to receive and file.
So,
Do I second? All opposed, motion carries. Anyone else?
Hello, Dr. Reverend Swanson, Winterset, Iowa. First, I'd like to start by reminding Heather and Jessica that they both have an announced conflict with the entire auditor's office, which they invoked on the January 5th meeting to exclude any member from the auditor's office from attending a closed session to take the meeting minutes as statutorily required. As the current makeup of the county government has been decided by resolutions AO Resolution 090925, which grants the auditor's office duties and responsibilities of human resources. Additionally, SPV Resolution 101425C grants the auditor's office the title custodian of the courthouse pursuant to Iowa Code Chapter 3315021, and further states that the building and grounds maintenance shall report to the county auditor. Since Heather and Jessica have announced numerous occasions that they have a conflict with the auditor's office and all employees therein, it's highly inappropriate for them to vote on outsourcing employees to the auditor's office. Furthermore, either Heather and Jessica do not understand what the duties the maintenance and HR handle, or they simply do not care. Each of those departments goes above and beyond their standard duties to help out other departments when they're in need, whether it be transporting election equipment prior to elections, setting up the lights and bells around holiday season, or collecting and delivering mail. Each of these extra tasks will now, much like IT, be foisted off onto other already overworked county offices because we need to save the taxpayers' money by hooking the taxpayers into a multi-year contract for subpar services at a higher than previous rate. As I've mentioned before, since outsourcing IT, every office has been asked to do more work on the IT side. My office was without reliable internet for 5 weeks, and even today, the internet's not working at a proper speed. The initial issue with my office could have been handled promptly if we still had in-house IT, but instead things get delayed due to the never-ending quest to save the county money by sending our money out of the county. Of course, that contract for IT was set to increase by 16% until they were talked down to a much more reasonable 8%. I don't know the last time a county employee got an 8% raise. I know we're not this year. Outsourcing erodes the fabric of the community and the county. Takes away jobs from hardworking local residents who own homes, shop, and pay taxes here and gives those jobs to people that benefit other communities. That's not even getting into the fact that the jobs that you're hiring for aren't equivalent to the jobs you're replacing. Less hours, less duties. We all know this is just a personal matter based on your personal animosity towards certain people and Heather's personal desire to be county administrator, a position that doesn't even exist, but is strangely listed in the RFPs. This is most certainly a matter in which you have a conflict, which is why you should not be voting on this at this time. I'd ask my comments be received and filed.
Motion to receive and file.
So.
Folks, and I would ask that you not clap. This is a meeting. We want to get through this as fast as possible.
Well, I'm
This is-
sorry, I would
please.
just like to.
Point of order.
I will
They are
continue to
allowed
clap,
to
thank you.
speak, but I'm asking the public to not clap because we
Well,
want to get
I'm
this
not
meeting
one
moving
for
along.
clapping, so go ahead.
And don't move. Vote.
Do I have a motion, a second to receive and file? All in favor, please vote aye. I didn't hear it.
It was Fitch and Hobbs.
My name's Susan Mrzena from Winterset, Iowa. And I would like to talk to you about several different things today. One of them being that contractor workers don't care like permanent employees do. I know this from working for the state for 20 years. The staff that the RFPs have attracted are going to be low-trained, short-term hires because of the lower wage, and then we'll have constant turnover on that. Here is a list of the things that the Madison County Custodial staff does. Pick up sticks, trash, and dog poop at the courthouse. Empty trash cans around the exterior of the courthouse. Raise and lower the flag by the order of the governor. Help the quilt museum with airing of the quilts. Help the Madisonian gardeners with the request for garden hoses. Provide water and other requests for the farmer's market. Assist Madison County Chamber with their projects and visitors. Give courthouse tours. Help with the covered bridge festivals such as tours, providing water, and helping the vendors with electrical hookups for soundstage. Daily boiler blow down and weekly water testing. Deal with the state entities such as boilers and electrics to ensure they stay in compliance for code. Handle all fifth judicial requests. Deal with all disasters, trees, rains, and winds. Get bids for projects, then communicate with approved contractors. Handle employee contractors and requests. Assess employees and public safety. Assure buildings are secure not only during business hours but also special meetings. Change bulbs for Christmas lights for the participation in the Festival of Lights. Monitor the clocks and the times at the courthouse. Turn on the Christmas lights during the season. Deal with maintaining services and reset the panel should it trip from a malfunction of power, available 24/7. Deal with any city ordinance related to issues such as sidewalks and trees. Make sure downspouts are functioning properly, kids jump on them. Make sure all entrances to the courthouse are clean and free of debris and ice. Water new trees and shrubs. Make sure the square signage is legible. Monitor AED and building around the square. Collect and redistribute fire extinguishers for annual service checks. Start and maintain shutdown boiler for the time of the year. Document tornado and fire drill participation. Get new signage and keys for employee turnovers. Patch holes and repaint. Deliver and pick up voting equipment. Pick up short mail. And relieve the pressure on the elevator in case of an emergency. On your proposal, this C, all it asks is somebody clean the toilet. There's a little more to it, but it's just anything Molly maids could do. And this is a lot more. The county does, employees do a lot more
Would you
than
like to
that.
receive and file that, ma'am?
Pardon me?
Your time is up. Would you like to receive and file, us to receive and file?
Yeah, and I wanna finish what I have to say.
Your time is up, ma'am.
Okay.
Do I have a motion to receive and file?
So moved to receive and
Read
file.
this
Do I have a
for me,
second?
starting right there.
Does she have? I don't know.
No, I'm not.
Who wants to read the rest of my work?
So motion dies for lack of a second.
Susan,
Yeah.
Do you have a paper copy where we can?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
we'll take that.
Okay, then I'll second receiving the
Any discussion? All in
Here's a
favor?
list.
Please vote.
Give it to me, Thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
Who
would like
wants
speak
to read
next?
the rest of my comments?
I'm Steve Reed, I'm a local contractor here, have been since I was 18 years old. I negotiate contracts at least once a week for, I'm not gonna tell you how old I am. They will promise you the world and deliver podunk. And the problem is that, you know, I've dealt with this for years, we have some of the best people in this county. And we've always been, okay, well, let's go to Des Moines, let's get somebody else and bring them here. Because they're authorities, they're gonna be able to do exactly what we want and everything. They don't deliver, I'm telling you. From my experience, and, you know, I'd like to have the ability to stay quiet, but I can't. So, I just wish you would reconsider some of the things you're doing with our local people, and, I hope you hear what the public's saying, because it's not right, just quit it, quit it. That's all I have to say. You can file that, do everything you want to with it.
Hi, my name is Laurie. I'm from Greenman, Winterset, Iowa. I need your help so I can understand why. As supervisors, you maintain objective to supervise, and elected officials and department heads, their objectives are to run their respective departments. Normally, if the Board of Supervisors has a problem, they go to the department head and discuss the issue and how to resolve the issue, because no one has all of the right answers. So why is it that you feel the need to micromanage these elected officials and department heads? There isn't a problem. Why are you making a problem? For example, let me focus on the auditor's office. Information technologies. You, the supervisors, fired an employee and outsourced that department, not considering the auditor's concerns. Human resources. You have already tried firing her last year, and now you want to fire her again and outsource this department. Again, against the auditor's request not to do so. Custodial. Now, you, the Board of Supervisors, want to fire more employees and outsource this department, again, against the auditor's recommendation. Now, why do we need to outsource at all? Okay, why do we need to do that at all? Why do we need to fire community citizens? These employees pay taxes, they buy groceries, and do other business locally in this community. Why do you think outsourced companies are so much better than they need to handle county affairs? They are not in Madison County and are not vested in the county structure, just profits. If outsourcing is strictly budgetary, as you state, then why didn't you talk to the elected official or department head about your concerns instead of having blatant disregard for them? If it is truly budgetary, show us the savings. Show us the savings in the budget and make sure that we are looking at apples to apples and oranges to oranges. Then I thought, oh, the RFPs. Why would you put on the RFP that this outsourced department would report to the county administrator? We never have one. There is nowhere in the budget that shows that there is money allocated for a county administrator. I looked up the job duties and as follows. Key responsibilities, operations and management. Oversees daily operations and manages department head under the board's jurisdiction. Well, isn't that already what our elected officials and department heads are currently doing? Do we need to pay for additional departmental supervision? Budgeting. Prepares and recommends the annual operating budget, monitoring revenues and expenditures. The auditor already does this. Is it necessary to have her duties slashed, which by the way is in the Code of Iowa? Liaison duties. acts as the liaison between the board, other elected officials, department heads, and the public. Why is this even needed? Every department head and elected official is intelligent, professional, mature adults that value their jobs and co-workers. And by the way, the normal salary for this position is approximately $107,000 to $141,000. So again, my question is why? I am asking Supervisor Fitch, Supervisor Hobbs, and you, Supervisor Stansel. I am asking you, are you trying to establish a position for yourself or someone close to you? If not, then again, I ask you, where is the logic in outsourcing? All comments can be emailed to me, so I may share that my others have the same questions.
Sorry,
In
Laurie, but your
closing,
time is
I
up.
think about the current employees and families you are damaging just for power. Have for some respect for the elected officials that the citizens of this county elected and the very qualified department heads. Simply let them do their jobs. Stop thinking of how far you can get or how much you can control. Strive to be a good person and a good supervisor for this county and its citizens.
Did you second that, Diane? I couldn't hear.
All in favor, please vote aye.
Passive aggressive.
Motion carries. Do I have anyone else that wishes to speak?
Can I have 3 more minutes?
No.
If it's not,
Guys, that's not the way
That's not how it works.
they don't respond, it's to the board and and you don't get to continue someone's comments, and I'm so sorry about that.
Well, you- All right.
Somebody else would need it. No, it's not allowed.
Doug Jurgens, Winterset, Iowa. I'll make it short and sweet. We know exactly what you're doing. There's been other people fired in there, about a year in. There's a wrongful termination suits that'll be coming too when you're firing people that shouldn't be fired. When you come in and say, well, they're not on our team, get rid of them. You got lawsuits coming for some of these that you've already fired. And you can sit there and write your notes and not pay attention, but we know exactly what this is about. This has nothing to do with fiscal responsibility. All the money you spent on these bullshit attorneys that you've hired already proves that this has nothing to do with fiscal responsibility. This has to do with personal vendettas that both of you have against Chip and the people that work there that won't follow along and kiss your ass. We're not here to kiss your ass. We are here to hold you accountable. I came in here and played that recording of you, in your own words, admitting that you know you defrauded the taxpayers with that payment to Bergman. And you sat here and acted like, oh, we couldn't hear it, we didn't know. Bullshit. You knew exactly what was said, you said it.
I'm gonna ask
You
you
know
to
you
refrain
fired
from
her. I don't care.
swearing.
First Amendment, shut up.
You know what? We
Shut
have
your
board
hole.
policies.
First Amendment.
Excuse me?
Quiet,
Do we have a
Piggy.
deputy? You are going to be removed.
Quiet, Piggy.
Oh,
This is.
excuse me?
He has a right to
Point of
speak.
order. Sheriff Barnes, would you please remove this gentleman?
You know
Thank you.
exactly what I meant.
Please remove him.
Had enough.
Hey, Doug.
I'm gonna ask, please be civil to one another. You just have to be civil. I know your emotions are high, and I think they're justified in a lot of ways, but let's
We are
be
not
kind.
being treated civilly by this representation of
Because
our
there is
community.
order. There is
This
order
is
for
not-
these meetings, ma'am, and you
not
are out of
here.
order.
Ma'am, you're out
I
of
am
order.
not out of
Yes,
order.
you
Out
are.
of order. Ma'am, if you interrupt again, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. Please.
Ma'am,
If
you're the
you
one
wish
that
to-
really
if you wish
needs
to
to
speak.
leave.
Okay,
You're not
Sheriff
ready.
Barnes, we have another one. Sheriff Barnes, would you please remove this lady?
I will refuse to be removed because I have a right to my
Ma'am,
opinion and
you
I
are
am
more than
supporting my
welcome,
community.
ma'am,
No.
you are more than welcome to
Stay
come to
there,
the podium and
I
speak.
will, I'm staying here. Hi.
Ma'am, you're more than welcome to come to the podium and speak. You will have 3 minutes. Would you like to speak?
I've said all I need to say.
Okay.
And you
So,
know what
I'm-
you're about.
I'm
We know
asking
what
you-
you're
I'm
about.
asking you to be respectful. If you don't
I
want to come
have
to the
no
podium and
respect for
speak.
you two for
Please.
ruining our community.
You will stand up here, you can say
Oh, I guess
You
I
can
will.
stand up for 3 minutes and say it. You can come up here and say what you want for 3
I
minutes.
do not, I refuse to be kicked out of here. I
Can you
have
give
a
your
right
name?
to be
Can
here.
you give your
I am a
name? Can you give
taxpaying
your
member
name?
of this
Can you
community.
give your name?
I want to speak. I am on my 3 minutes, not yours.
You're not till you tell us who you are and
My
where you
name is
live.
Sheri Young. I am a longstanding
Great.
member of this community. This is absolutely
Are you
ridiculous.
from Winterset?
I am from Winterset. I was born and raised between Madison County and Union County. I'm a veteran, I'm a member of the community, I am a service member of the community. I do not understand why you guys, what's your deal coming in here and messing our things up? Why, is this a personal thing for you, or you're making a lot of money? I don't understand this, and you are disrespectful to our community in the things that you are doing, the decisions that you are making without community support. That is what I have to say, and you guys should really, I just don't even know what you expect our community to do, to just bow down and kiss your ass like Doug said? I don't think it's gonna happen. And I'm finished, thank you for your time.
Sorry, ma'am, what was your name?
Sheri Young.
Sheri Young. Anyone else wish to speak? Otherwise, we'll go to call.
And then before you go to the phone, I have a question.
Sandy Dawdy, and I'm from Winterset. I don't have anything prepared. I do want to just reiterate some things that we've heard today, and that mainly is about sense of community. I'm referring to C, D, and E that are on the resolutions. First, I want to refer to the veterans. I want to say that the veterans have sacrificed for us, and we are now treating them absolutely like dirt, shoving them around, taking them out of their building, and then not having trouble even deciding if they can stay there until you rip the building from them. As far as the outsourcing, I want to say community, community, community. This is a community, and everybody here, I think, is agreeing on that today. A community does a lot of things for the people. There's some simple stuff like it helps lower your blood pressure when you have a good community, when everybody works together. It can reduce your cholesterol. Who knew? Socially encourages civic engagement, volunteerism, and neighborhood safety. I think the better your community, the more people you're going to get to volunteer and be an actual part of the community. And when people feel like they're getting kicked in the teeth, that isn't gonna happen. So why would we want to further damage our community by outsourcing more and more jobs? Quite frankly, I don't think we would want to. I think we want to keep the people here, they live here, they work here, they like it here, we like them here. Someone referred to Chip. I think we've only been here for a year and a half, and I feel like Chip is one of the nicest people I have ever met, nicest men I have ever met in my life, and I can't even imagine what would possess us to outsource his job and any other jobs in that area. Again, I just want to say community, 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 and you have the opportunity to prove that community is your number one. Thank you.
Chris Jordan, Peru. When I interviewed for my first teaching position in Northwest Iowa, the first three people I met were, I was met at the door by the custodian, who showed me where my interview would be and welcomed me to the community. I met one of the bus drivers, who made sure I knew where the bathroom was. And then I met the secretary. And I got into my interview, and the superintendent of schools was also the elementary principal. And he said, well, what do you think of our community? And I said, you first three people I've met were pretty impressive. And he said, and he asked me who, and I told him. And he said, you know, those people and our support staff are the most important people in our district.
Mm-hmm.
You can spend all the money in the world you want to on security cameras. If nobody knows who the people are who are approaching your courthouse and in your building, it doesn't help. If they're sitting someplace like Des Moines. Because if you'll notice on the news, security cameras are most often used after the crime is committed to see who did it. They're not really that much deterrent.
Des Moines Public Schools, I worked for 35 years, considered outsourcing our custodians, and that was given up very quickly, because when people realized on the nights we didn't have a qualified custodian in the building because somebody was sick, and they didn't have people to take the place, well, they put a can of Boban under every teacher's sink. You know what Boban is? It's the little crystals you spread on when the kids throw up. So the next 3 kids don't throw up when they smell it. You gotta have somebody around all the time. When some kid throws up in the sink, they gotta clean the whole thing. You don't wait till after work to do that. And you know who does it when there's nobody there on staff as a custodian? The teachers. Do you want the teacher time or your hired people time doing the things that other people could do because it's their job? Regarding your field house, we're in a time when they're saying farmers for the 4th year in a row aren't gonna be making any income. Well, profit. They're gonna barely make ends meet and they're struggling along. My dad used to say, you have to farm over a number of years to make any money at it because you're gonna do well some years, you're not gonna do well some years. So you get a time in an agricultural community when you have 4 years, prices going up, fertilizer costs going up, and you're contemplating asking people for 5 years to contribute to a field house, it's a very poor time. Especially when you look at communities like Johnston, where Ignite has failed, and so have the Wise. Thank you.
Did you have anything you wanted to receive and file?
No.
Anyone else? Otherwise, we'll go to the phone.
I just want to know if during the budget discussion, I'll be able to weigh in on my thoughts on the outsourcing, or if I should do it now as a part of the public comment.
We can do it during the budget session.
Thank you, that's all I wanted to make sure.
Because when you're talking about that.
Correct, that's what I figured it would be more appropriate, but again, I didn't wanna miss an opportunity to just share my evaluation.
Is that the same with me too, my questions that I had sent?
Yes.
Okay.
It's on our list of to-do. So, but if we forget, just,
Okay.
okay? Anyone else wish to speak? Otherwise, we'll go to the phone. Okay, if you are on the phone, please hit *6 to unmute your phone and give your name and and where you're, sorry, not name and number, name and city, where you're from, and you have 3 minutes.
Hello?
Yes. Did you want to say something?
Hey, this is Thaddeus.
Okay?
Yeah, this is Thaddeus, Veterans Affairs. The only thing I really want to know is the cost benefit analysis, because the old building or the public health building and wherever you guys decide to move, I would just like that public, put out in public for the cost benefit analysis. Because I haven't seen one.
We've done that once,
So
but I'm
that's
happy
kinda
to.
what I was wondering.
We've done that once, but I'm happy to send it to you if you wish, Thaddeus.
Cause I kinda dug deep in my own cost benefit analysis, and it was only like $12,000 roughly a year to keep that building. So it's already paid for and everything.
Actually, so.
Hey, you can't answer his questions
Sir,
if you
sir,
can't answer mine.
he's a county employee. Thaddeus, I'm happy to send that to you.
Yeah, I would love to see what you guys have too.
I will.
That's the only thing I have to say, because,
Yeah.
once again, I talked to more veterans.
Highway helper from the White State Regional Highway helper.
So Thaddeus, I'm happy to send that to you and you can forward it on to whomever you wish. Does the board have that? I sent it to you. Okay.
I think he's at a conference. so-
Anything else? Okay. All right, thank you, Thad.
Just someone taught Mikey.
Thank you, Thaddeus.
Alright, yeah, I guess that's it.
Okay. Anyone else wish to speak? All right, we'll go ahead and move on. Would you mind muting? Kayla, please. I'm not muted, am I? just,
Do
I'll
you know
just,
what the phone number for the bridges?
I don't know, 1421? I'll just turn it down, that's fine. Okay, all right, we'll go on from public comment to the budget work session now. We have that big expenditure sheet, I don't know if you guys had a chance to go through it yet. I gave you the first crack at some of the notes on there, I don't know if you've already.
Yeah, it was Friday at 12:46.
Yeah, so, I sent them to the board, and then I went over the salary sheet, we wanna make sure that we're allocating enough for salaries on there, so,
What's the most recent budget revenue worksheet that we should be working from?
the budget revenue, the only one I have is on the 20th.
Excuse me, and the expenditure, the 20th?
That's the one I have, I don't know if there's a later one.
Expenditure sheet, the 20th, is that the most recent?
Yes.
Okay, so that's.
Well, I mean, I guess, let me just see what was sent, because again, I have a concern that, that there are changes that I know I made in the, so again, I'm just concerned that, sorry, I'm done? Do I get to go home?
Yeah.
All right.
All right, if you want, we can just go through it.
Yeah, that'd be fine. I concur with most of it. I mean, again, it matches. I think,
Some of the things the board will have to weigh in, and I had some question marks on some columns.
well, and then when you say, we'll get to that. So you wanna start on salaries first, or what you sent? That was sent this morning, and then what about
Well, let's go through
the one on Friday?
the one I sent on Friday, the one that has all the, GL codes on there, that doesn't have mileage and travel. The first one is Department 1, mileage and travel. On this, it had $1,000, and I believe in my notes, the board had requested that we increase that to $1,200 because we're gonna have 2 new board members. And they'll probably be going to some training and conferences, so we wanna make sure we allocate, some little extra for them, whomever they are. If you guys still concur with that, or if you wanna drop it back down to 1,000,
No, we had noted to increase it.
okay.
And I'm making just a green check mark that says proceed.
Yeah, 1,200 was okay, that's what we said.
Yep. And again, I just don't know why it's 1,000.
And then in Department 2, your
Line.
department, there's 2 things. One, the current amount was 400, and in my notes, I had 600.
Okay.
So I don't know if that was for mileage and travel, because I think you're gonna have some new employees too.
We raised it to
Well, I don't know. We're not having very good luck right now. So,
Okay.
yeah, so, but mileage and travel is really,
Well, if she's okay with 400, leave
If
it.
you're okay with 400, I just
I
brought it up
guess my
because I
question, did
know.
you write down for 600?
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you're okay with 4, leave it at 4, if you
Well,
think that's
what-
sufficient.
Well, that's why I'm bringing it up, my notes were.
Well, I bumped it to 550, so we'll go with 600. I mean, hell.
Well,
Well, if you're okay with,
Whatever
Whatever
you
you
tell me
say.
what you want. I know we discussed in my notes, I just wanna make sure I didn't write it down wrong.
Well, we'll go with 600.
Okay.
Okay?
And then postage and mailing,
So, back on there, I have $5,000 listed under local,
yeah, is it?
it's not special. So,
So is it, but nothing else under locals there, that was
well,
the
because
anomaly.
we don't have any local elections this year.
But do we need postage and mailing in there, was my question.
No, that was a suggestion the last time. Remember we were talking about,
Can we remove
There'll
it?
be, we'll need money in there under, it'll be special local,
For postage and mailing, for,
special local elections, so there should be a category in like the general,
right,
but
special.
we don't have but we don't have any scheduled special or local elections this year, so I left
It'll be the
everything.
Winterset.
Winterset?
The Winterset one, it'll go on as a general, but it's still.
But it will be
Oh.
also
special
reimbursed.
local.
oh, potentially for the bond for the field house?
Yeah, that'll be.
Ah,
that'll be
okay,
reimbursed.
then that makes sense.
but we get paid back for, isn't that reimbursed?
No, we still have to show it as an expense.
Yeah,
and
and then,
revenue.
but you get a break.
Okay, then that makes sense, okay, well then, that answers my
Then
question. on
then I
that.
guess my question to you is, because I know you were on the phone when we were doing this, are there other things for that local that we need to budget for? Cause it should be just more than
Do we need to do
postage.
ballots then too?
the ballots are gonna be the same, I'd say depending on how they actually structure the public measures, gonna change how much it costs, cause if we can't put it on a postcard, it'll be more mail, we'll have to use.
So what do you think I
paper
should put in here?
I don't think the whole thing would be more than 5,000.
The whole thing or just postage plus the ballots? But why don't you think about it and then you let me know.
Cause it's not gonna have separate ballots, it'll be on the same one, and then I'll just get the programmer to break out what the price difference for adding that on is.
Okay, I'm
If you
just gonna
guys
make a
wanna
note.
figure it out, put a pin in that, and we can.
Well, we also need to
Wednesday.
decide it very, very quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right.
I haven't gotten it, I'll know once I get the public measures.
It's just a budget, it's just a placeholder, so it doesn't have to be exact. If you told me 2,500 in each, I'd be good.
I'd say put 3,500 in postage and 1,500 in,
Thank you.
ballots.
All right, I will
Okay.
do that, thank you.
So 5,000 for that category. You wanna leave it?
Yes, and that will be, then I will have matching revenue.
Okay. The next one was Department 5, radio relay equipment. This was a question that came up during one of our work sessions. We only budgeted $1,000 for this, but the fiscal 26 amount was 25 times that amount. So I didn't know if there was a anomaly or something like that.
Department 5,
I don't know if there was a repair that we had to pay for, or something was misallocated, I don't know.
So we
I just-
budgeted 1,000.
I just wanna make sure that we're not missing something. So if you wanna research that more, that was just anomaly I noticed, so I just wanted to call it out.
okay.
So maybe.
It seems like I actually called Sheriff Barnes and talked about this.
I think it might have something to do with the insurance claim
Yeah.
for when they had damage.
We had that conversation, I thought, during
Yeah,
Yes, we
the
did.
meeting,
We did.
and that's why we didn't.
okay,
I
so
think it was the insurance.
it was insurance, I just wanna make sure that that
Thank you,
was
Sal.
resolved. So we can put a pin in that anyway.
Is that like?
It's just, I'm just bringing it to everyone's attention to make sure it's addressed.
So who's going to confirm that?
I will be doing the vote confirming.
Okay.
Okay. Machinery and mechanical equipment, do we need to double this amount? Cause
Why?
fiscal 25 was lower, and then fiscal 26 went high, and then this year went high. Is this a new?
I'm going off of the things that the department heads provided to me.
Okay.
So is Sheriff Barnes available?
He is not, he responded to Polk County for an issue.
Okay.
He's
Um,
transporting right now.
Lynn,
Do you need
anything?
someone from the
Any
sheriff's
thoughts
department?
on that?
Yeah, is Clayton out there?
He may not, he may need the stuff in front of him to figure out what it's for. If we can confirm.
I did, like I said, once we went through it once, I
Okay.
did not go back and question what they submitted. But
Okay.
I can,
I just wanna make sure that, you know, that wasn't just a one-time anomaly, or this is an ongoing expected expenditure.
So maybe confirm all of those Department 5s. Michelle can just confirm those 4 line items. Confirm with Sheriff Barnes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, office
Okay.
supplies and then water and sewer.
Okay, so now we're down to line number 9.
So that's, buildings and grounds. For natural gas, we only put 3,000, I'm thinking we need to make it 3,500 at least, because in the past it's been over 3,000.
okay.
So,
And we have a second brother online now too, don't we?
This is in the end.
Oh, that's for
this is the
the
annex,
okay.
yeah. So if, what do you guys think, increase it to 3,500?
Well, is that enough, Chip? 3,500 for the annex?
Well, I'm looking at the past
Well,
invoices. They've been over 3,000, so I
Natural
think
gas
3,000.
prices have stayed, well, make it 35. It's
That's
better
what I
to have
was
it
thinking.
too
Just be
much
a
than
little,
not
little
enough.
safe, so. Alright, next one, public health building electric. I believe we discussed lowering that because we're assuming that the building will sell and there won't be any occupants. I think we need to leave something in there, but I don't think it has to be the full amount as if we had everybody in there this past year. So the board originally discussed 500, I'm leaving it up to you guys what you think.
Leave it at 5, the money won't, it'll stay here, just
3,500?
No, 500.
500, okay.
That's not being recalled.
Okay. Alright, so leave it at 500. Okay, elderly services electric. We budgeted 1,500. Looking at the past invoices for past years, we've been over 2,000, so I'm thinking we need to bump that up to 2,000. Do you concur?
2,500? Sufficient?
It's at 2 now, you want to?
No, it's at 1,500 now.
Yeah, so you have 2,000.
I have 2,000. Do you guys concur? Do you want something else?
You said in the past it's been over 2,000, do you recall? I mean, is it consistently over 2,000?
No.
So let's go 22.
So that was part of the reasoning. I mean, I did look at the history myself, but, again, it's $500, so you guys decide.
So do we wanna make it, are you 2,000, 2,200?
Go 22.
22.
What are we doing?
Just make bumping it to 22.
2,200?
Yeah. Okay, public health building, water and sewer, same thing. Right now it's budgeted for 1,000. We had discussed, lowering it to 500. Maintain the
But do you
minimum.
think that that's gonna change that much? We're only talking about 2 people using that, so that a little bit of was looking into is like, how much, and if they're not there full-time, that is what it is. So my question is, do you see it dropping down to 500?
Well, the building sells, we're not gonna have any bills.
What if it doesn't sell?
But understanding, so I just wanna make sure that I get the clear direction that, I thought it was, you only have 2 people there part-time, the bills should not go down that much, is my point. So that's why I left it really similar to what it is last month.
Oh, okay.
But that's
For that.
for
The board originally, discussed 500, that was my
Okay,
vote.
and
So
that's-
if the board
that's
wants to
fine.
make it 1,000, that's fine.
No, leave it 5.
So it should be 500.
You want 500? Okay.
I want a fly swatter.
Yeah, me too.
But she's getting back over here.
Okay,
Okay, so the last one for buildings and ground is the ambulance garage, which is the old location. This is an existing building, we probably should keep the maintenance on that.
okay,
So it was budgeted, put it at 0, I think we need to put it back to the 30,000.
okay.
Is the board okay with that?
3,000, or 30,000?
Was it 30,000?
Oh, no.
For the old,
For the old ambulance area?
That's way high unless we're considering.
What are you gonna do in there?
No, that's for maintenance. If there's like a.
Right, but,
Yeah, that's way high.
I mean,
Hold on, let me get to the.
well, that's next. I can't imagine spending $30,000
Well, I
in that
can't
building.
either, but
that's too good.
Pick a number. Pick a number, any number.
I mean, maybe not 0, but, somewhere in between.
yeah, the past years, for this fiscal 26, we budgeted 30,000, we spent 21,000 already.
Well, that was on.
Previous year, we budgeted 30,000, we spent 31,000. Year before that, we spent 27,000, year before that, we spent 22,000.
But those are failures, right?
It's just, I don't know what it's for, it's just under ambulance garage.
Okay, well, if that's what you think, then. we'll put
Michelle, can you confirm that those were truly, can you confirm what those?
Absolutely, I can pull the GL,
Yeah.
I'll just make a
Make
note.
sure it
Well,
wasn't
I don't
potentially.
see anybody going down there.
Are you sure
Right.
it wasn't all the stuff in the elderly front, like the doors?
We don't.
No, they
No,
they
that's
pay
came
separate.
out of their budget.
That's separate.
I'll pull the general ledger.
Yeah, if you can
Absolutely.
confirm that,
We haven't done anything else.
If that's, if there's any detail on it.
that'd be great, because it's been consistently 5 digits.
52.
I would guess, I think that's in the wrong place, because we've done
Well, then we've been doing
Yeah,
it
I'm wondering
wrong
if
for
there's-
years.
No, I just think it's put in there, I don't think we did, I don't think the money's there, I just think
Or
it's
if
in the wrong
something
place.
was allocated there and should have been somewhere else.
No, the expenditure line though shows what we actually paid out.
I think it's in the wrong line item.
Okay, so Michelle, you'll handle it. Okay. Next one,
Hardware maintenance.
It's two, hardware maintenance,
Now, we just talked about taking that out.
yeah,
So you want to put it back in?
well,
I tried to do everything.
for the, where is it? So, we had budgeted this year 12,000,
So
we
if you
spent
take,
6.
okay, but the 6182 and the 6917 are for the web page. That wasn't,
So that
that's
should
why
be-
that's 15,000 below. You're not gonna hit, you're not gonna hit 12 or 14,000. That's both for, the web page.
Oh, so it's under the
So
wrong
if-
line?
Correct,
Okay,
correct.
okay.
And if we ever come up for air in the auditor's office, all of those things will
Okay,
be repaired.
so that's good to know. So then we could probably leave it at 0 then.
Yeah, but I would like that. And
So the 12,000 needs to be applied to
the 6182 of the year-to-date that's been used,
So basically, one of the
it was
web,
miscoded.
yeah, one of the web page, part of the payments were put under hardware maintenance, part of it's put under web page, which is the line right below that.
Okay.
So it should be, all those charges should be under the same page.
So when you take the 61 and the 69, you get
Mhm.
about 14.
Okay, all right, then that,
And as you got an issue with that, so
Okay.
I took that right off of their thing. Are you seeing different information?
on that line, I think, is the board okay then, if we just, when we get around it, just move the funds to the right spot, and we don't.
Oh, I'm on to the next one down.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
yeah, I did not mean to overstep.
No,
Is it
no, it's okay.
Okay.
So I just wanna make sure that you're good with the hardware maintenance, there's nothing.
Yeah,
no
I
charges
double
going on.
checked, that is one thing that I did pour through all the general ledgers and batched everything up. So on the next line though, you said I budgeted 37,000 and you said 45,000,
So this is the Microsoft Office Exchange, we have to pay for this every year, so the
correct,
monies are
but
coming
did you
out
see the
somewhere
bid from Solutions?
for the exchange.
They itemize everything out.
I
I took it from there.
Oh, you took it from there.
Oh,
Yeah,
you just
now I will make a mark to double check
Can you
it.
double check that? 'Cause usually it's on a separate thing.
So you just took it from the bill? Okay.
I will double check it, how about
Okay.
that?
Okay. Cause in the past, Jen had it as a separate charge,
Okay.
so, okay. But if they've lowered the cost, that's great. Okay, next one, Solutions WatchGuard.
Okay.
We have it billed at 0, but in fiscal 26, we have monies paid out for it.
Because remember, the watch guards have a 3-year warranty on them now, so there should be nothing for 3 years.
Nothing for 3 years, for the, well,
That's their,
for Solutions, the Solutions
Solutions.
WPA's, okay,
mhm.
okay. Alright. Okay, and then E-Vault backup, just wanna double check that you checked and,
Yeah, and,
want
so
that?
I will put another green little mark there, just to triple check it. I don't wanna.
cause
make
there's
a
just
mistake.
something in the back of my mind that we use that for something, I remember Jen saying something, we may not need it anymore.
Okay.
Okay, now the multi-factor authentication, MFAs, this is something that's a license we need to pay. And I think the problem is the past few years, we paid it out of ARPA funds. So this year would be the first year we would pay it out of the budget.
And where'd you get that number from?
That was based on past resolutions.
Then do I
think.
need to check with Solutions about what they're gonna charge us, or where the bill is?
Well, you would have to go back and pass and see, go look and see who billed us for that. I don't think that came through Solutions. I think that was a third party.
We paid it through our.
Yeah, but it was.
But it
so
says
you'll have-
work with Solutions to ensure it's still activated.
Yes, they won't give you the technical expertise, but I'm saying who we're paying it to may not be Solutions, so maybe a third party. that we contracted with. So you'd have to go to the GL.
Well, I know that it's, yeah,
You'd have to go to the ARPA GL
I think
code.
it's there, but again, I'll, it's in there, so, but I'll double check.
Is that IT solutions?
That's
It
IT.
took place of like.
Yeah. The one that's $30,000 over budget right now.
Yeah.
No. Okay, so the next one, we're now into Department 53, Planning and Consulting. We had it at 0, which is great, but that's assuming they get the ordinances done by June, and I don't think that's gonna happen. So we're gonna have to allocate some of the consulting fees.
Are we gonna have extra?
No, not extra, but in order for us to pay the bill when they come due after July 1, we still have to show an expenditure.
So should I, have we, so
I
just,
think we should put, I don't know how much we spent thus far to them for their,
okay, I'll
ordinance
just,
support,
make sure the balance due is rolled over.
correct, because we wanna make sure we are able to pay that when it comes to it. But, yeah, and it's not any extra, it's just whatever's outstanding.
Okay.
Next one, Department 65, the ICAP safety grant. Normally, we had this in our safety committee, and it was a pass-through, and I don't know if it was on this line or another line, but in the past, it's been on this GL code.
Well, and we just applied for that safety grant.
We got it.
Yeah, we got it.
And it's a revenue, right?
But we just applied it
Well,
to a,
you have to have it still an expenditure, it's a pass-through.
But did we pay it, did we pay it out of?
no, we paid the invoice and then we submitted it after for the grant.
Okay.
So it's a pass-through.
But we still have
Right.
to allocate.
But what we should do, don't you think, Jess, if when that bill came in for that, we should have probably paid for it out of 65, because that was where the money was. But it was only part of
Well,
it, right? It was part of.
Yeah, it was only a part of it,
Okay.
and there was a deadline at the end of the calendar year, so I grabbed, hey, what have we spent money on that would qualify for this?
Oh,
And
yeah, no,
grabbed
I
that
remember
one.
that.
So it's in fiscal 26, so we just wanna make sure it's in fiscal 27, because we get that grant every year.
Yeah. What's contributions related to? Contributions,
Okay, so that is, I don't completely understand the emergency management
Okay,
budget.
so would you like an education?
Yes, that would be awesome.
That's all I've been working on. Okay, that's why some of this stuff has not been looked at yet. So, I've talked to, Dom, I've worked with Mitch, I've worked with other counties. And one thing that didn't make any sense to me was, how can we have a rollover expense come out of an expense line on a department? That doesn't make any sense. So, here's how other counties handle that. It should never be on your expenditure worksheet. That money that is approved in the budget should always show up as revenue from the city and the counties, okay? It actually comes out of, either general basic or rural, or general supplemental. And the reason is because if we take it out of rural basic, then we have to bill the cities separately. And that has not been done since 2020, so that was why the shift,
Okay,
okay?
so that's why it's not in,
I wouldn't even look at it right now.
okay.
To be honest with you, it's my next project.
Okay.
So,
Hold.
so hold,
So
but,
I'm just
but
noticing
I,
inconsistencies, so.
but here's the deal, we need to talk about this so we can actually make a decision. Other counties, actually, it comes out of the Board of Supervisors budget.
Okay,
This year, we're gonna take it out of 99, because what should have happened back in August was it should have been brought before the board, you guys sign off on it, and we go about our merry business, but that didn't happen, so what we need to do now is we need to get Mitch paid, he's got bills coming up. The other thing I'm doing is that none of the rollover balances are matching the budgets. So,
right, we had that problem last year. We couldn't
so I
figure out
have
what
to
it
go
was.
through and take all of the ending fund balances and match them to what's on the DOM. And we have to do some reconciliation. Right now, I just need to get him his money. It's gonna come out of 99. and then it'll show up, and that's why it's also gonna come out of either the general, basic, or the general
So this,
supplemental.
should this be like an internal fund transfer, like how we do for
I
secondary
would actually
roads?
caution, do not transfer, you have to write a
Okay.
check.
Okay,
So, I mean, again, and counties all do it differently, so I had to pick which auditor that I had more confidence in, and it was the
Okay.
one that told me that, you write a check,
okay.
okay?
So we'll leave it, we'll take it out of 99, and then next year, do we need to put it under the Board of Supervisors?
You guys get to decide on Wednesday, 'cause I'm putting it out there for you.
So
Alright.
so it does not come out of Department 70 then?
Out of what? No, because see, it's an expense.
So it's 96.
You can't,
But
you can't.
70 doesn't have expenses.
Sure it does, it has all kinds of
But could
expenses,
we
but,
put-
but it can't be the income.
Oh, okay.
You see what I'm saying? Otherwise, you'd have a net zero every year,
Okay, I
which
see.
honestly,
I think, yeah, Mitch was having trouble figuring that out last year. Okay, so,
so I gotta work on it, but please, to think about, how do you want this structured as far as it's coming out of 99? Or is it coming out of,
for this year, what would be the easiest?
99?
99.
Okay, so let's do
He's
99.
already
To
overdue,
finish, yeah.
he's
So,
already overdue,
so let's do 99 and then,
and Laurie's working on that claim.
and then when we're all done with all this, we work on setting it up for next year. So it's ready to go for next year.
Yes, but I would, but because of the budgetary constraints, I need to know where I'm gonna budget that money to come
We'll
out
take
of.
it out of 99.
This
So-
year, but
this
we
year.
also need to know about next year,
Oh,
and that's what we need to
out
discuss
of
on
ours.
Wednesday.
I don't want the next board having to scramble, figure this out. I'd like to have it done, so it's.
No, now, I mean, Wednesday, so when I enter in 27's budget, I know where it's coming from.
Okay.
Fair.
So we'll leave Department 70 to you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so next one, Department 86, publication and legal notices, we have this as 0. They do publication and legal notices or job notices and stuff like that, I'm thinking we need some monies in there.
Okay, which line now?
86,
Oh, we dropped all the way down, okay, 86. Yeah, I agree, I'm
I
not
think we need to
sure.
put, I don't know if 300, I just put 300 in there because that was what it used to be, I don't know what the board has any thoughts on that. But
Okay,
if we're gonna be doing, notices, job notices or whatever, we need to budget for that.
You better leave 300 at least.
So, okay, so put that to 300.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
and then education and training,
and I put the community block grant.
yeah, one more on 86. Education and training, you dropped it to 0. I'm wondering if we need to leave some of it in there?
Well, I
Is
think
it
that maybe now it's time to talk about direction,
Or maybe just kind of put a pin in that until we figure out what we're doing.
okay?
Okay.
And the community block grant, I did get that back in, or I did not?
It is in there.
It's
It
in
is
there.
in there. You
It's
put-
eight, and didn't you say we always get that?
Well,
That's the
I
last
think our
one.
last conversation was, we direct you to take it out, but then the conversation was, well, if the board votes to approve, giving money towards the Winterset Fieldhouse, so the city of Winterset can apply for grants, then we would have to put that back in, but in your March 20th, you're still have it in there. So we can talk about that.
Oh, and see, I put 0, and I was gonna put, okay, go ahead, what do you want?
Well, I think right now it says $8,990. And that's been kind of a standing placeholder for our county for a while. So are we up, is the last one, the last payment for the
We're done with it, yeah, this,
John Wayne Museum,
Report,
we're
yeah.
done? Okay, so next year we would have funds available?
Yeah.
Okay, so we can put a pin in that right now until we discuss the resolution, and then the board can decide. So if the board wants to move forward to giving money towards that, this would be the fund it would come out of. If the board does not want to do that, then we can remove this from our budget line. So, it's up to, we can decide that. So that's the end of the questions I had on the budget. Before we move on to salaries, did you guys have any questions on anything? With your,
I'm just gonna just save this so I don't lose it.
So we're talking about salaries?
So what I just did is I just wanted to make sure that we were allocating enough, towards salaries, because we had to do a budget amendment last year, for some departments.
Can we talk about that? What, to help me understand, because nobody can seem to remember. Let me just get a little quick date on this, let's see, 0330.
And I also wanted you to check, my numbers based on what you got from each department.
Thank you, so you're gonna allow me time for that, okay, but I do have questions about your comments. So why is it that we certified the budget on the 30th of August, or whatever it was due, April, and then we turned around and did something else in May?
That was for, the budget that was certified in April was for fiscal 26. The budget amendment in May was fiscal 25.
Really?
That was
Okay.
the last
So we
budget
did not
amendment.
change, somebody thought that we had.
That was for fiscal 25, because you had to have your fiscal 25 last budget, I think it was May 30th, you had to have it approved. So, yeah, and we knew we needed a budget amendment, so that's what that was for.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, so based on the numbers comparing, what you have on your expenditure sheet for supervisors, the numbers look fine to me for that department. And then for your department, Michelle, based on what the board discussed.
What is total salaries not enough?
Well, like, when I add all those salaries, total annual, I get $316,140. And then when I add all the salaries on the worksheet,
Okay. Oh,
it doesn't total the total
Sure,
amount.
gotcha, so the balance.
The balance on the
balances don't
worksheet is
match, and that's what I
lower.
told you I hadn't had a chance, yep,
Yeah.
I hadn't had a chance,
So,
okay.
so if you wanted time to look this over, that's fine, and we can go through it and
Yeah.
talk about it, and then.
Are we talking about Wednesday?
Sure.
I'd give you time.
So,
Can I also then bring up, in the light of, I would like to move, and I wanna propose this, I'll be proposing it on Wednesday. I too have checked with Ehlers and Cooney and got it in writing that I can create a first deputy, elections first deputy,
okay,
okay? And so that would, so Michaela,
so I have 2 first deputies, is what you're looking
exactly,
Okay.
and so, she is, and also that her position, qualifies for salary, which will be, and so
Okay.
her and I have had discussions, so I will be presenting that to
at.
you.
So we would have to prove basically a new position, a new first deputy. position.
Correct.
Second first.
Effective July 1st,
Okay.
as
So
a
that
part of
will
the
change
budget,
these
and that will
numbers.
change those numbers.
Okay.
And then, I would like you also to consider, if I were to give up the auditor clerk, I'm having trouble finding a part-time person that wants to come in and, with no benefits, and that's why Mac left. So my question would be is to consider adding a second deputy full-time. Drop the auditor clerk, and, then I think that would be easier on that person who would be serving to the board, because as Mac expressed, it was hard for her to set a schedule, and it was hard for her to do that, so.
Can you crunch the numbers?
I will
on those
crunch,
changes?
absolutely. I, especially if I'm taking 0, Laurie's taking 0, and, I'll crunch the numbers
My
for you.
first blush, it looks like we can make it work,
That
based
would
on,
be fabulous.
but if you can crunch the numbers.
I will.
Cause, these
I mean,
are
I'm
just the
scared about
salaries.
losing, but again, I think that this is, makes more sense.
So these are just the salaries, I haven't even included FICA or
I
IFRS
will
or
include FICA and IFRS
benefits.
and benefits.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
Alright, so.
So that's coming.
Okay, so moving on to the treasurer's office.
Okay.
So here, there's a couple different things, on the worksheets I did not have the motor vehicle department, so for whatever reason, it did not print.
Okay.
It wasn't I double checked on the PDF, it wasn't on there either, so I didn't get a chance to check those.
Okay.
But I wanted to double check with Kylie
Well, Aaron and Angie will be the same,
Okay,
okay, so those numbers are wrong on,
Okay.
that you look at.
right, so what I did, because they're not at the full,
They will be at 80.
they'll be at 80?
Mhm.
Okay.
I hope I'm not misspeaking. Okay.
Is that
80%,
80%? Okay, because they're at
75 now.
75 now. Okay.
Okay, so
Um,
that is the correct.
Now, regarding the second deputies, the cap is at 75%. So you have
Just adjust down,
we have to adjust down, so that's why.
even if we're buying out longevity,
That might be separate, not separate.
yeah.
The total cannot go, according to the union contract, the total cannot go over 75%.
So would be all.
So we'll need to run that by hours.
Okay.
Can you run that by hours?
Mhm.
Find out, that number may change.
Do you have any thoughts?
I mean, yeah, with the second, I was kinda wondering about that too.
Okay.
Yeah, and you brought that up in the
Yeah.
past, so, that's why we're having this discussion, I wanna double check all the numbers, so you can check and get back to the board on Wednesday, that'd be great, okay. Now
Same difference with, same thing
with the attorney,
attorney?
yes, the amount of money in the budget does not cover
Okay.
all of this, we wanna make sure we allocate enough money to his office for that.
All right.
So the other one for sheriff, I did not look at any of the deputies because that's just too, it would take me days to go through all that. It's
I
just his
trust.
contract. So, but with the administrative stuff, that was easier, cause it's just the,
Well, and then remember, we've got clerk, Lynn, who's adjusted to clerk 2.
right, that was the $1.20 plus 3%.
I'm not sure. That's what was intended. I don't think so.
So we'll need to talk about that.
Okay.
But
You're
either
gonna talk to
way,
the sheriff about it?
huh?
Are you gonna talk to the sheriff about
A
it?
union,
Union.
so check with hours. Okay, and then, so we wanna make sure those numbers are correct. Cause right now, based on this, what's in the budget is too high. Okay, and then going on to the recorder's office, the salary lines are too high based on that.
Okay.
And then the salary lines for the VA office based on, now, it looks like this hasn't been looked at in a while. I think what every office we've done every year is just add whatever the percentage is to the total, rather than actually digging in and seeing how much we actually need.
Yeah,
So,
well,
if these are two part-time positions, using 1,044 hours a year, the number on the line for that is too high.
Okay.
So, unless they're going over part-time, but they're technically part-time. So, would you check on that?
I will.
Okay, so environmental health, that was fine. Weeds,
So he did get back to me and he wanted to stick with the 413 hours. So are you saying my math is off?
well, no, the way it was told us when we had weeds, we split his time with roads and weeds. So it's part-time roads, part-time,
But I don't
But
think it's.
our time is 400, that is his, he's calculated a budget number for hours. That doesn't even include, he has 2 separate salary, he's in my system in 2 different places.
so wouldn't it be 1,044 each place?
No,
It's not.
because he doesn't spend 1,044
Oh,
doing
okay.
weeds.
Okay,
That's why I said we actually physically calculate the number of hours.
okay,
And I sign his time card when it comes through.
okay.
Now, I will tell you though, that the leave times and the other things are split even between weeds and rows.
Okay.
So it's a different,
So that amount is not too low, cause I
Great.
thought it was too low.
No,
Okay, so that will
Okay, so
cover
I-
his salary,
okay,
okay,
cause I did actually take 413 times his
okay.
rate times 3%.
Cause I was using part-time 1,044 hours, okay.
And I will give it to you that probably Thaddeus and I probably just did a quick 33% on there, so I will
Yeah,
double check.
I think that's what I think Terry did that, Shelley did that.
I didn't do it on
Yeah, I
anybody
would-
else.
So yeah, if we
Check
can
to be
double
able to do
check,
that.
then going forward, we'll have it.
And you said, again, the salary lines are too low
For,
I'm on to buildings and grounds.
buildings and grounds, yes,
Okay,
too low,
double check.
so double check.
Okay.
Zoning looked good and HR looked good, so.
Great.
So you've got all your marching orders.
So those were.
Save this.
Yes. So the only departments salaries I did not review were those under the Teamsters contract
Correct.
and those in secondary roads, because secondary roads has its own special formula on how they figure out salaries.
You got it. And
So-
again, I don't wanna be an expert on that, so I'm gonna trust what they tell me.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Okay. So does the board have anything else they wanna talk about? So on Wednesday, will you have an updated sheet and fund
Yeah, and I'll
balance?
double check what prints, cause I'm a little concerned.
That was the only one that didn't.
No, but I'm saying, when I sit and think about going through and I updated all these numbers from our notes, and they didn't come out for you, just wanna make sure it doesn't happen again.
Maybe they still say great.
So are we still planning on 2 PM on Wednesday?
2 PM on Wednesday.
Yes, that will give me all tomorrow morning,
Mhm.
probably not overnight, cause we have a hearing tomorrow at 6. My other question on that, would you like me to have extra copies of the updated,
Yes.
notice? For,
Sure,
I mean,
yes.
like, maybe 50 of them,
Yeah, that would be
so
great.
people could, you know.
Look at it
Cause I
and see
think you
that
sent them
it's
out,
updated.
but, hopefully you posted them. But anyway, cause I could only post them on the website and put it out on your Facebook page, but yeah, I can make these copies.
Put it back there. That's a
Yeah,
good idea.
if you can do that, that would be great. And,
Insurance, or no, we're not gonna talk about insurance yet, are we?
well,
Do you have an update?
do you have an update on that at all?
Just what they sent me.
Okay, I don't have anything
I can
else.
put those in there. Okay,
Do we have
so then should I
HMOs?
take my moment to talk to you guys
Yeah, that's what
about
I was,
outsourcing?
hang on,
Oh,
finish
sure.
that thought, please, I'm sorry.
Do we have HMOs in our insurance?
No, PPO.
Just, yeah, because that's under the House File 2739. but
That's
we
what I
don't-
was
we-
wondering if they,
Yeah,
No,
we don't
we
have
have
HMOs.
PPOs.
They won't affect us.
All right, sorry, Michelle,
but
go
we
ahead.
do have.
It's okay, but I
info
do have a follow-up question, because two things that were mentioned was the possibility of absorbing more of the premium. I would need to know that before I finalize that. Are you guys gonna talk about that now?
I think we
I mean,
kinda need
when
to know
can
what
we-
our bottom line is before we
Yeah,
make that
But you guys got
decision.
these,
yeah, but I think you're talking about bottom line of the budget,
The whole budget
whether we can afford it or
of
not.
what our expenditures versus our revenues, is there a gap or is there not?
okay,
So we'll have the fund balances ready on Wednesday.
yes,
Okay. So.
because I'm gonna need to do some more, I literally am just looking to see, okay, what can I move?
Because that rural basic is still,
Well, I haven't moved anything yet.
okay,
Rural basic's very healthy and general supplemental is not, but we lowered that levy, so. Okay, so, before we start and go into, this is budgetary for your consideration, may I please go ahead and comment on the HR and the custodial?
sure.
Is that all right?
Yep.
Okay. So I wanna give the background that on February 3rd, 2026, 3 months into the budget season, it was decided by a vote of 2-1 to prepare and send out requests for proposals for human resources and custodial services. Both human resources and day-to-day custodial functions were put under me by resolution in the fall of 2025. After advising the board of such, they proceeded with preparing RFPs and put my name on one and Lance Coulter's on the other. The issue number one, the RFP for the human resources was based exactly on what a human resource on-site director description did. That's 40 hours a week, full-time position. I looked through all of the RFPs and not one of the responses came back anywhere close to the specifics we need for employees of Madison County. And again, I know you understand this is my opinion, but I need to get this out. And you did say, Supervisor Stansel, that this is about saving money. So I went ahead and moved on to cost analysis because to me, the matrix is a lot of static that we would need if we had a deficiency in the HR department. We do not. Again, it's all about the money. Only one of the 8 respondents showed an annual cost less than what we have now. They range in price between $117,000 to $332,800 per year, and that one is the Cedar Rapids because I extrapolated a 80 hours at the worst case scenario. That probably wouldn't be, but they charge $160 an hour.
I think you're talking about the HR.
I'm talking about HR, yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
okay.
And so anyway, and it's really important to me as you go through the matrix and you have your discussion of which I will back out of after I have my piece, is that we understand the optics of this. The hourly rates are even more ridiculous, and only 2 of these companies are in Iowa, because I kicked Brick Gentry out of my evaluation because it wasn't for HR consulting. There's one in Cedar Rapids and one in Davenport. The one respondent, so check what I'm viewing is if we were to go with the one that has less dollars per year, I annualized it at $36,000 versus what Kelly costs us is $94,543. So you take and you replace one female with one male at $75 per hour, and she's only costing us $45.45 per hour. And as you go through this matrix and as you consider it, I'm not assuming you're gonna outsource HR, I just want this out there so that as you're thinking about the optics and the true cost benefit analysis and the true cost to our county, that you consider that difference. Did it ever occur to anybody to offer our current HR director $75 an hour for reduced hours? We could find her something, I'm sure, in another department, part-time maybe, to fill that up. Even there's $160 sitting out there. There's $132.50 per hour. I do want to talk further about services lost. The following is a list, is not everything our HR director does, but these tasks and responsibilities were not all clearly defined in the responses. And I'm gonna use acronyms. The GCPCA audit, the IMWCA audit, GASB 75, Symetra, disability payments to short-term disability, the medical census, the IPI audit, the ACA audit, OSHA submissions, investigations, the Fund 9400 balance sheet. She also has to key in our high deductible health premiums because Symetra has been unable after, I think it's, well, however long we went over to them, we still cannot port that information in automatically. And that is something Solutions at their developer level is still working on. And if she was here, I would be able to, actually, she would speak more intelligently about it, but she is not feeling well. Payroll, reports for elected officials. She is actually in touch with IMWCA weekly, if not daily, on those folks that are on work comp. She spends 30 minutes per employee signing up for new benefit plans. She travels to different departments related to the county. She does workforce development correspondence and phone meetings weekly. She calls to Wellmark when our employees have errors to their bills or to liaison for benefit questions. I know she does that often. She works with employees on getting their short-term disability claims zeroed out. She assists with payroll questions. She does quite a bit for the safety committee, I believe, Jess, doesn't she?
She serves on the safety committee, that's correct.
And then daily HR employee counseling due to the work environment our county is in. That was a list item previously, or supplied by at least a dozen employees confidentially to me, that's very important to them because they are worried for their jobs. They are not comfortable standing up and talking about how important HR is because they're worried for their jobs. And assisting the new auditors, staff with their duties. She's been invaluable to us. And then also, she is also involved in all aspects of elections, whether it's picking up ballots, absentee voting, directing voters, and keeping voting booths clean, which goes along the same lines with just having that boots on the ground type person, that person that's available and to help with overflow so that we don't have gaps.
We don't even have anyone else, to party balance car side voting.
Agreed. We're gonna, it'll be a very interesting primary. There is no scenario in my mind where we save money. We are only destined to bring chaos to an already chaotic situation. I want you to remember the optics. Is it about saving money? Or I'm gonna quote what I've heard on audio and I have in writing, that we have to get rid of the problem children, which I'm quite surprised that somebody from the public would say that. That is embarrassing. I guess I'm just asking, are we ready for the fallout and are we prepared for the gaps and the transition and potentially more failure? I don't want that, you guys. I don't think we're ready for this. So that is my spiel on HR, and I can be happy to go photocopy my spreadsheet. I'm sure you guys have your own. I will continue just to talk about custodial service bids. We have confirmed it's only dusting, mopping, bathrooms. Again, in the same breath that we profess to want to save money, we refer to a new position that we may have to pay more. Shouldn't that be decided before we pull the trigger on this? Shouldn't we develop that employee model, not disagreeing with it, but that employee model before we terminate employees and make a decision? We can always spend less next year, even if we budget, for what we've got now. I am confused by this again, so let's look at the tasks not covered by replacing our custodial and building ground staff. But I'm gonna abbreviate this because somebody already evidently was provided with that list that I was provided. There are some things that I'm gonna add though. We have key management, mail processing. They actually, how many, show of hands of people who work here have had our custodial staff help move furniture and set up furniture for them when they buy new furniture. Okay? It's all, I mean, it's just whatever we need. So we've got sign room, that was already covered. The 24/7 alarms. History tours, providing a friendly space for our visitors to our county. The emergency cleanups, the toilet overflows, the equipment malfunctions. And again, what I'm hearing is a facilities manager or a county manager, which is it? And, I don't think a county manager's gonna run around with a plunger or get up on a ladder and change the dome light bulbs and the clock and the chimes. Without a well-defined plan of how all this looks going forward, any decision to outsource janitorial is short-sighted. I managed, commercial office buildings on and off in a total of 15 years. I am left wondering why it was only the departments under my office that was looked at. There are other areas, there are other offices, I wouldn't advocate this, sharing, like ADR does with Guthrie County, certain departments. Again, I'm gonna just stop there because I think I've said what I need to say without, sometimes when you write in the middle of the night, you can get a little
Punchy.
So you said you had some information provided to you by whom?
snarky. A list from Alex, from myself, from Steve, and from Chip of the things they do outside of the.
Okay, well, I asked for that information last spring when working with Chip, so I would love to see that. If you could share that, that'd be great.
I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
Would you like me just to file this with you?
And could you email us before you?
How about I do that instead?
That'd be great.
Okay, so, we have the first,
And I am sorry that there's a breakdown between everybody.
I am too.
me too. Okay, so how do you guys want to start with just the first, agenda item, and we'll save the outsourcing for last on the agenda, okay?
No,
So-
go down the agenda.
Yeah, so the first, I just didn't know if you wanted to talk about, since she was talking about that.
No, we'll follow.
I just didn't wanna interrupt while you guys were doing the supervisor discussion.
No, this was a budget thing.
Follow
so-
the agenda.
I never did receive the full board packet though. I had the agenda that was sent out late Friday.
Oh, the board packets. Did
So-
you have it?
It's on that. Did you-
I'll find it now, but I just.
Okay. So the first resolution is approving the Alliance testing for elderly services building. We talked about this last week. Jess, did you have anything more you wanted to say about that?
No, we just wanna ensure it's a safe environment for everybody who works there, all the participants. The main issues are back in the unoccupied space, but regardless of what we do with the space, regardless of where the veterans move, I think we need to address it, this indoor air quality issue.
So Jess, this is $2,800, somebody's gonna go in and say, you need to clean up the mold. And then somebody else comes in and cleans up the mold, is that correct?
That's correct, this does not include any
This
mitigation.
is just the testing.
But the reason that this company is recommended, because they can more definitively identify where the problem areas are and also identify the scope of what needs to be mitigated, so that will be easier for us then to do the corrections.
So if we do this, which we need to stop that mold so it doesn't go into the meal site, because that's a good part of the building.
Well,
Is that a correct
Well,
statement? I think he said that at the last
Just,
meeting.
yeah, basically to preserve that resource, yes, we
Yes.
don't want any further damage or any health concerns. This is not a toxic mold, this is not the kind that, people don't need to be alarmed, but it still needs to be addressed.
well, we don't wanna let it go.
No.
Exactly.
Yes.
All right.
So, okay, I'm sorry, my computer just died, so I had to plug it in. I'm plugging it in. So I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Have a
Second?
second? All in favor, please vote aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, motion carries. So, sorry, Kara.
And the next one is the field.
Field house, okay.
Approving monetary support of the Winterset Field House by the Madison County Board of Supervisors.
Thank you, Diane. So the Winterset came presented to us, did a wonderful presentation on the field house. And they basically had a request for us to give them a grant towards the field house, because apparently there's some grants out there that they wanna apply for, but in order to get them, it has to show community engagement, involvement, and usually they come to, the county for that. So it is up to the board on what they wanna do. We currently have in our budget $8,990 that we use for community grants. This would qualify for that. But our last work session, we talked about in order to save money, to remove that and take a buy-year. Our last donation grant was for the John Wayne Museum.
And they want 10 to 25,000 over 5 years.
Correct.
They
So,
want us
No,
so,
no.
Susan,
We are gonna have that vote.
Well, let us
It's
go.
not gonna be
Susan,
them.
you need to stop
Wait
or
and
you will be
see.
asked to leave.
just wait and see,
Susan,
how it
can you,
goes.
why don't we wait till we're done talking and you can talk to us after the meeting, okay?
Okay, we can ask her though.
So I'm just putting out to the board, you had put it on the agenda last time and we hadn't discussed it yet, so that's why I was tabled and put on this meeting. So I think we have members of the city of Winterset here. And again, this is their project, this is not a Madison County project, this is a city of Winterset project. So, they have just come and asked the county for county funds. So I'll let you guys talk about what you want to do.
Well, let's make a motion and then we'll discuss it.
Okay, do I have a motion to, well, we haven't decided amount,
Well,
so we need to talk about amount.
all right, I am not in favor of this. We don't own the field house, we will not own the field house. We own the covered bridges. And if money is obligated, it should go to the covered bridges. That brings in millions of dollars of revenue. We'll never own the field house. Also, Farm and Home has been sold and a gym is going in there with a spa. I don't know how many gyms we need. I'm not in favor of this. I think it's great. I love Winterset. But I don't think this is money we can afford, and I think the money should go to the bridges because we own the bridges and we'll never own the field house.
Well, we decided to cut this grant out for a reason, is we wanted to save money. Our last grant was to the city of Winterset, a city of Winterset entity, and I think we should take a buy-year for now. I wanna be able to support the community, but right now, the taxpayers want lower taxes, so, if it's a field house mostly serves the city of Winterset, the city of Winterset needs to be the one to decide whether or not they wanna support it.
And it's gonna come to a vote, and it could fail, and I don't wanna obligate money that it might not pass.
That's true.
Also, if you want a police station, that dentist office is for sale, that you can drive under it, I think that'd be a wonderful police station.
Very nice.
I mean, it would save a ton of money, I think.
So, well, the decision before us is whether or not we will donate money to this project, so.
Well, I could be convinced to do the minimum to help them with their grant application, but based on what you ladies are saying, I'm feeling we're gonna have a no.
Alright, so,
I guess I'm gonna make a motion to.
Do we want to table this?
No,
Or do we want, because if we vote no, that means it can't be brought up again for a year.
I know what I'm gonna vote.
Okay.
I'd be okay tabling it to try to
Because things
hold it
may,
for a later time versus a hard no.
Then would you, pardon my insertion, but then we could do a budget amendment then if you guys decide to proceed? Is that
Yeah, I
what we would
mean,
need to do?
Can't we leave that community block grant line item in and then?
well, the line will stay in is whether or not they
Yeah.
take the money out, because then it's not part of the budget, it's not part of the levy. But that's a good point, Michelle.
But
I didn't wanna,
As things change or something happens, or say we get, I don't know.
the budget needs to be entered Friday, okay, and so and maybe talk about it on Wednesday, I just thought I should let you know.
Yeah.
That would be an
I'm
option.
gonna make a motion to table this.
Okay.
SPB 033026B,
Indefinitely.
yes.
Okay.
Until further notice.
Do I have a second? Okay, there's a first and a second to table the resolution to donate money towards the Winterset Fieldhouse. Any further discussion?
Well, basically to Diane's point, I have a lot of concerns about our bridges as well, and I also believe that there are there are budget line items on our county budget, that Winterset isn't paying their full percentage on, in my opinion, for their use. So I guess, we can stick a fork in this for now.
If the people of the city of Winterset decide to move forward and they vote in favor of that bond, then we can certainly revisit that. Because that was an excellent point, Diane, that you made. So, any further discussion on tabling? All in favor, please vote aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Okay. All right, the next one is the resolution for, not sure why we needed this, but to keep VA in the Veterans Administration building, until the building is sold.
Well, because they don't know. You said they could have the auditor's office and they agreed at that meeting, and now is that off the table?
They're gonna
Can
stay,
they have the
they're
auditor's
gonna stay there
office?
until we make a
Here's the
decision.
concern, Diane. I have had many veterans reach out to me directly and say, we don't want to move into the courthouse. We would rather go to elderly services building.
That is not what I said.
So, okay, it's absolutely true, and I could,
Okay,
I am
so
not gonna
we have a lot
respond
of
to
veterans in this state
So-
and in this county, and they all have different opinions.
they're all gonna have different
So,
opinions.
yeah.
And Thaddeus expressed an interest and a desire to move to the auditor's office. We could make that happen much sooner and much more quickly. So if Veterans Affairs is okay with going into the courthouse and not having a handicap accessible bathroom and, not having the privacy that they requested, if the Veterans Affairs are okay with going in the courthouse, I'm okay with that.
And you're talking about the elections side, the old elections side of the
Yes,
office.
and then we would still have the public side, if you will.
Right.
So they can move into I think they would accept that, and then that was kind of taken off the table for a little bit.
Well, that's because we were talking about the elderly services building as an option. is
So
to
they
give them
Which I
that-
still stand by, I still believe that's a much better location for them.
Let
I
me
still
float
believe that.
something else by you. Let's keep the conservation board, pay off their bridge loan, which isn't very much, so that's in our building, move them out there. That's a one level, the conservation building.
they have a brand spanking new building.
No, the older one that they have to sell.
Oh,
Put them out there, it's secluded, it's got a circle drive, you could put in.
No, but there's no, but that building's empty right now, that's why we're selling it.
But it wouldn't be.
Conservation building.
Well, we don't have to sell it. Pay off the bridge loan, which isn't very much, which will be cheaper than remodeling the back of the ambulance shed.
If we
Put
sell
'em
both
out there.
buildings, both those funds will go back into the general fund, and then we could put in a handicap accessible bathroom in the courthouse. We can do a lot of work that needs to be done in our buildings and not have to go to bond on that.
All right,
That's a good idea.
then if you're gonna let them move into the auditor's office, then you need to say that's a for sure and they don't have to move again. Is that a for sure? That they
I'm
can
giving
have,
no one assurance that they will never have to move again. I don't know how you could do that. A lot could change in the future.
But we can't buy future boards either, Diane.
I know, but they won't make them probably move because if,
Well,
First
they
time.
made a move in 2018.
yes,
and gave them
because
24
I
hours.
moved them. I did it.
That was not-
Thaddeus and I
know,
did
that
it.
was not right what they did.
And then they didn't have anything for 3 months.
Yeah,
For
that
6
was not-
months.
6
with
months.
No internet and no telephone.
That was not right.
He and
So,
I carried all that furniture
So-
ourselves.
You know, if they move to the courthouse, that's not gonna be an issue, because internet and everything's already there. I think that it's gonna take longer than, this is my gut. I think it's gonna take longer to get the elderly, if we wanna give them the privacy at the elderly services building, it's gonna take longer than we think. Cause we're gonna have to, there's the testing, if there is any remediation, that could take time, then there's the construction.
It could be really expensive.
And what I'd like to do is get the public health building sold, so we have the finances, so we can do that. And then if it's a better fit for Veterans Affairs, then they would have brand new vacant offices, we have the privacy, be right near the meal site. So, but all that's kind of hinging on the sale of the public health building.
What I would like is I would like in writing from Thaddeus, and maybe you can reach out to him and just get it, that would be his preferred location. I tried to get that confirmed, so if you could confirm that, because here's what I'm anticipating, we're gonna have a lot of people screaming and yelling at us because veterans are in the courthouse and how dare you move them there. So we're gonna hear about it, so I want it in writing from Thaddeus that is his preferred choice.
So, and if we do that, then we would do a coordinated move to where we would have everything set up for him in that office. The phones are basically just, because they're VoIP, you just pick them up, plug them in. We'll coordinate with Solutions that they have an on-site support person there to have it ready to go. And then, so that way he's just literally leaving one building, going to another. It's not a mad scramble like it was in 2018 that you had to deal with.
And do we wanna get quotes from movers then? I'm not
already
sure how
have
much
all
of their
that.
stuff.
We
You already
have the
have
IT set up, we have the modification pricing for the doorways, and we have the movers already priced.
Well, that was one of the things I started, when I started speaking with Veterans Affairs last spring about this, a very long time ago, that was one of the things I know that they expressed often, was the way the last move was handled, and I assured them we would not do that to them again this year. When this happens, and they'll have notice, they'll have assistance, I'll go help move stuff if we need to do that, we'll help them.
And I know our assessor has expressed a desire to be in the courthouse as well. And I think our office would probably be a good place for them.
Except
used
it
to
does
have
not
that
allow,
office.
it does not allow the assessor a private office, which is really,
Important.
he
to
really does need a private office in my
Okay.
opinion.
Okay.
But we could potentially add wall, or, but that's something to explore, because supervisors can go anywhere. We can move anywhere, right? I mean,
Yes,
we don't have to be in the courthouse.
we could be here.
Mhm.
We can move Mitch upstairs and we can be in place.
So can we possibly add to our next regularly scheduled meeting, a line item for us to discuss all of this in general, but the other pieces of potential moves, departments moving, the assessors, the board?
Michelle, can you clarify what needs to be modified in that office? What
Just
doorway?
the
Is it the
doorway.
second doorway?
No,
So
it's
when
the,
you,
oh, go ahead.
it's okay. So, when you walk in and you go approach the counter, right, there's a door. That whole doorway moves.
You mean the newest one?
The
that's in
elections door.
The elections door. where
Not
you-
the old, not the entry, the main entry.
No,
It's the
no,
one as
the
you go through.
election
Oh,
door.
that one, okay.
And that way,
The one that's next to the counter?
Yeah.
Okay,
To the election.
there will be no door, and it will be widened.
okay.
So they will still have a secure door to get back into what was formerly the auditor space. They will still have that, they would still have that whole area secured, and then Thaddeus would still have a private office. And then just,
The vault, that is one of the key pieces to remember. The vault that we had emptied and painted, that is part of the plan as it was discussed, so.
because they were intending to put a conference room
For
there,
him,
and then
that way
would
they-
have their own dedicated conference.
Yep.
Well, it would probably be shared with whoever's in the
Or
other
he could use
office.
that other conference.
Yeah, he could use that other conference.
That's a lovely conference.
room.
That other room is for, conference room and storage.
Yes, exactly. So,
I
so you
envision that
probably
door-
will, that door will be locked
It
and
will
it
be
will not
locked,
be
yeah.
shared. It will not be shared. I
I
mean,
thought-
if you want, if I
Well,
can tell you
I'd like
what.
to share it because otherwise we're locking an office, we're locking away an office that's not gonna be, a room that's not gonna be used very often. I'd like to have it available,
Which one?
the old vault.
I think that they are. I mean, they've got a lot of stuff, but you should get this in writing from
I
Thaddeus.
spoke with Thaddeus this morning, he wants the auditor's office, he said he does not believe the bathroom situation's a problem. They can get in the elevator, he's not worried about it.
And we
He
still
wants
have the ADA plan we're working on. We've got, there's a grid, it's a timing, again.
And I'll
Yeah,
see
you're
if he will
reviewing,
put it in
reviewing the
writing.
report from the consultant.
Not only am I reviewing the report, but Chip and I have been working on a plan as far as what can we do, cost effective, low price now, and then we'll set forth, here's our 5-year plan, here's our 2-year plan, whatever we think that the ADA folks would be agreeable to.
Okay.
But that's a bigger project.
Yes, but we need to have, before we move him though, we need to have some kind of plan
There has been a plan in
Curious.
place for that move.
Okay, so I
Since
mean, for the
we moved.
ADA compliance.
Yeah, nope.
So, cause if there's somebody that calls and said, hey, how come you're not ADA compliant, we have to be able to show a plan before we move Thaddeus there. So, even the gal that came out to do the consulting, she said it could be as simple as a single sheet of paper. Just saying, in 5 years, we're gonna do this, in 2 years, we're gonna do that. Very simple, something that we can show, yes, we are intending
Well,
to do this.
We left off with that ADA report, we were gonna review it again, but we were going to get feedback from you and Chip on, what were the items that facility staff could potentially take care of versus what are.
And
things
we
could
have that
focus
done.
on.
We
Okay,
have that done.
so we might, maybe we work that discussion into these other discussions as we're talking about future
Would you,
things.
Because
but
I'd
can I
like
be
to have-
realistic? Can we wait until the budget
Yes.
is
Yes.
entered on
Please.
Friday?
Please, let's do.
Okay.
So
I will reach out to Thaddeus and I'll get this in writing and then we'll put it on the next regular.
You got that,
meeting. Let's wait
Michaela?
till our budgets are done.
Okay.
All the
All right,
motions.
so,
Oh, and now that we're talking about it, the trailer, and there's the small trailer out there, emergency management and the police have said that, and it's okay with the state, the, secondary roads wants that, they're going to retrofit that for, they can modify it because they need it for their cameras they take out, so.
Perfect.
And then next week, I will ask the guys to help me and we'll go out and start getting rid of this stuff.
So does this mean you're going to not approve the veterans staying?
I think we're
We're
gonna
just gonna wait, or,
just table that.
yeah, and then I'll call them.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to table SPV 3026A, approving allowing, Madison County Veterans Administration's continued occupancy in public health buildings.
26C.
And I'll second it, we know it.
Oh, okay. Any further discussion of tabling the veteran? Okay. All in favor of tabling, please vote aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Okay, that brings us to the resolution for outsourcing custodial service for Madison County. I know there's been a lot of discussion on this and folks are concerned. The cost benefit analysis between all the vendors that submitted bids for this, I sent the supervisors a matrix so they could fill out to what they believe is valuable and then the costs. I don't know if you guys get a chance to do that. So whoever wants to talk, start talking.
Well, there are a lot of counties that outsource, custodial services and, I think that what is key to this, I do believe and agree that we need, a person in a role that we still need to retain hands on deck and have a person here. I have concerns with the county administrator given the salary ranges that would be necessary.
So you're thinking more facilities
I'm
manager?
thinking more, actually not even facility manager, I'm thinking building manager.
Like an operations manager?
Building manager.
Just building manager?
Just building manager, so there's basically 3 categories for the roles, you know, kind of that we've talked about, you know, and to me, the building manager side of it, that's the key management, that's the, oh, we have a problem over here, we need somebody to respond, like, right away. That's the, I know to Kylie's point earlier, blowing the leaves up, you know, away from the door. But the bulk of the cleaning, tasks, I believe that we could outsource, and they would do a better job, and I think that they would be a lot more cost effective, if we had professional firm. Now, these firms that we looked at, my top 2, that I narrowed down, of course, they do federal background checks in addition to state background checks, which is very important to me. But they also, you know, most of them do key management to where their employees are not taking keys home. There's a check-in process. But I think we kind of need to determine, are we going to still have a staff member? Are we going to just forget about all this? What direction is the board wanting to do in that regard? My opinion is, I think we need to outsource the bulk of the cleaning, and I think we should retain a building manager position.
I think we agreed on that, that it was important to have an on-site. We got that feedback from department heads as well. We do want someone local to raise and lower the flag and, key management and last minute stuff, if there's something that happens, to do that. I don't know what the best title would be for that, but I think too, another thing to consider is, and we can work on a job description, but, I would like to see some kind of asset management in that. So we know what supplies are being used, how much we're using. I mean, if we decide to outsource, we can obviously get those reports from the vendor. My concern now is we don't have any knowledge. We're budgeting $21,000 a year for custodial supplies, and I could not get data.
You couldn't get data? I couldn't even get data from the vendor that stiff armed me that I contacted.
So that's concerning.
That's very concerning that we can't even get that data and that we don't have someone managing that data and that is keeping track of that.
And it shouldn't be Michelle.
It should not be Michelle, no.
Your hands are full.
Well, I will tell you that, if I may, as a day-to-day operations over building and grounds, that would not be out of line. But what we're working on as a whole community is the way we submit claims, that the narrative and the descriptions are coming from the people making the purchases, and that the person entering those claims, okay, that they're actually descriptive. I don't wanna have to pull claims to write budgets, okay? I wanna look at a general ledger. That is gonna take a while. Then to have like a defined number of vendors, you know, right? We're only gonna buy from here and buy from here and buy from here, and then you're pulling 3 reports. I can't speak to what was done in the past. I can tell you how, and again, I would like to structure my department so that we can do that. But if you guys wanna take that away, it's your discretion, and it should not be my job, but it certainly could. It's something that I think as an auditor, we're capable of, but I love building manager, because that is the onus you put on that person. That's a responsibility and a level, and you set that goal and that expectation. You will be able to tell us this at the end of the year.
That's right, if we have somebody that's gonna own it, and the facility manager role that's kind of in between county administrator and building manager, you know, that's more oversight, it's less of the hands-on, and we need, in my opinion, the hands-on to be that staff member that's here supporting the employees.
Exactly.
So if we add in an asset manager role.
Do we?
If we add in an asset management role, that can also accomplish some other things too, to where, you know, where is everything at? How many desks do we have? How many extra laptops we have? How many of this? And then, so if we get a call from Solutions saying, hey, I need someone to plug in an Ethernet cable, that person can go and do it without having to call Kylie or Brandy or someone, or you. And they can do that as well. So that's kind of what I was looking at, is someone that can do that has a little bit of knowledge for that, so we can move that into more of an asset building management role. I don't know what the best title is. You can certainly research that. But something to where we do have that on-site person that can provide that support role. And you know, I've checked with other counties, that person actually reports to the supervisors. Now I know under Iowa code, the custodian of the courthouse, but what everyone forgets, that last part of the sentence.
Per the
where it
direction
says,
of the board.
Per the direction of the board of
And
supervisors.
that's
in our resolution as well. So we don't wanna forget that overall, the board of supervisors are the ones that have authority over most anything, unless something in the statute specifically says we don't. So, that's kind of what I would look at, and that's why on that matrix, I kind of left that line blank. So the board can decide what number to plug in, because then that would change all the other formulas. So you can see what the savings are. So, under, the custodials, did you wanna say what ones you thought were based on your evaluation?
Well,
I'm kinda leaning local, I mean Iowa people, but that's just me.
absolutely, and I know, you know, what we could do is, there's a few different ways we could tackle this. We could keep track and we could know what's the total score that each one of us had and then average them to identify those top firms. Or we could just, hey, here are the top I have two pretty close, 1 and 2, from my rankings and from my information I dug up. But again, you know, not knowing what number to plug in depending on what, staff member we would retain, what role, it's kinda hard to look at that payback, and the savings that we would gain. And I had looked up just kind of a rough salary range for building managers, 55 to 72, facility managers, 65 to 103, and county administrator, 140 to ish. But given that potentially citizens, you know, maybe bringing a vote for 5 supervisors, that's gonna kinda change things in the future if that happens.
That'll increase the budget.
That'll increase the budget, and so I'm, in my opinion, it should be us administratively having the administrative oversight over this position, to where it shouldn't warrant a county administrator level of a position, and my fear is that if we did do that, we're gonna be paying a lot more money for the county administrator, and they're not gonna be real inclined to go fix a overflowing toilet. But the facility manager, to me, again, there's a lot more administrative oversight.
That's writing a budget. When you go into a facility manager, they're writing the budgets, and I don't think we need to do that. And I'm sorry to chime in, but in my experience.
I think
you
building
hit it
managers.
right at the beginning with a building manager.
Well,
And
You can't be an administrator.
I would like to have them have some kind of budget knowledge.
Oh, yeah.
So they
Yeah.
understand their budget, they can follow their budget, so they know what's going in and what's coming out, so when they do sit down and do their budget, they're able to do it.
Sometimes you know you're talking about CHIP, that's what CHIP does. Maybe not.
Well, we're talking about the position, so we
Right, I
wanna
know,
make sure
I'm
we.
just, I'm
we're on
saying,
the
you
same
have
page.
somebody in that position right now.
Right, well,
It's insane.
I asked for tracking for custodial supplies and I got nothing. So
Yeah.
So right now,
I
the
would like
title
to have
is-
someone that has a little bit more hands-on on that, whether it's whoever the position is. I'm talking about, that's why I'm trying to keep names out of it, I'm talking about.
I understand.
So,
Right now, the title is head custodian,
Mhm.
and I don't think I think that needs to be different. I think it should be
Me
a
as
building
well.
manager.
Me as well.
so what we can do is on the matrix, what I have is an empty cell on B15, where you could put in the number, salary, FICA, IPERS, benefits in there, and then that will recalculate the proposed vendor costs in the 4th tab. So, say
So we're building in, say it's just the middle of the range, say it's 60 grand plus bennies, I mean, what's a good line item number if it was?
if it's,
You want me to tell you?
well,
Or
personally,
three of them?
personally,
It's about
I think,
183, about
For
184.
one position we're talking about,
Oh, just one?
Right.
building manager.
I can tell you right
I was
now.
in- I would-
Everything, 82
I had
would be a
around-
good number.
so if
I don't
we,
know if that covers enough for benefits, though, I
Yeah,
was
I did
thinking
the whole
around.
thing. I did Danny's salary, 82, 42 to 8, 43, I think.
so if we do, say 75 as the salary, then, and we do benefits, that, FICA, IPERS and benefits, assuming a family, you're looking at 119,000 total cost. Okay, if we do 70,000, you're looking at 113. So if we put in let's just say, we'll put in 113 in that cell.
You know,
It shows the savings based on my,
almost $100,000,
well,
that's what I'm showing. It depends on what we selected for the budget.
correct.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so we would have to, no, I'm showing for, well, yeah, it depends on the vendor, but, I'm showing anywhere from 42,000 to 85,000.
Did you call the people that they cleaned for? Cause I did.
Yeah, what's the feedback?
I love who we are. Somebody said the sense of community. I love having a guy that knows the guy who knows the guy that comes and fixes it right away. One day when our custodians, it was during COVID and they were sick, some kid locked all the bathroom doors. Who do you think got to crawl under there and open all the doors? Me. I hated that. I love that if somebody comes in and they're lost, the custodians help them. It is a personal thing that makes us who we are. And I think that is so crucial and important that we'll lose that. Having an outsource, I called the post office, said it was disaster. I called Drake. If you have anything sensitive on your desk, you put all your garbage to a portal and they haul it away. You can call church ladies and they're gonna clean like this. It's a dusting and cleaning in the floors. If the toilet doesn't
Which
work,
vendor?
none of them were great. I wasn't impressed. And the Minnesota one, don't even care. The cheapest one, I have real concerns about because I questioned, I don't want to sound mean, but their letters were very European, so I don't know. I didn't like it. I think, I don't want to lose who and what we are. I think having local people call local people and sending our taxpayers' money out of county doesn't make sense to me.
I don't think the taxpayers care.
You're getting rid of local jobs.
Diane, the purpose of government is not to provide jobs.
Services.
The purpose of government is
It's
about
services. We are
This
services.
is why we were looking at HR and custodial, because there's no impact to our frontline folks,
Oh, I don't agree.
to the public, the public.
What?
We are not reducing staff count on the frontline folks to save money.
Yes, you are. There's no other way to see it.
Okay, point of order.
Point of
Stop
order,
yelling.
this is not a discussion. This
Act
is-
in a
you are here-
professional manner.
This is a public meeting, the time for public comment is over, so I
That's
would
too
ask
bad,
you
ma'am. You know, you
please,
really need to
I
start
would
paying
ask you
attention to the
please, if you
community.
continue
We are
to
having
interrupt,
discussion fields
if you
about
continue
this.
to interrupt, you'll be asked to leave.
You
So
are
please stop.
unbelievable.
Okay, so anyway, back to the discussion. Diane, I understand your point. I disagree with it because I hear constantly from taxpayers saying, you are killing us, you are killing us. So we
No,
need to
no,
figure out,
no.
we need to figure out how to save money.
No, you're not.
And I know there's folks that would rather have government, bigger government, but that is not what most of the taxpayers in this county want.
You're doing away with
So,
one job and creating
so
two.
anyway,
You're making it
Pat-
bigger.
Pat,
What?
please, this is not your meeting. This is the board's meeting. If you continue to interrupt, I'm gonna
It
ask
is
you to
our
leave.
county.
It is
Go
our
for
It
it.
is
Yeah.
your county, but this is not your board.
And you
This is
work
not
for
your
us.
meeting. This is not your meeting. This is not your meeting.
It can be our meeting because
You're
you
being
are supposed
disruptive.
to work for us.
I'm gonna move to adjourn if we can't have.
So,
some
we need to
quorum.
do that.
We need to vote.
Table the last two and adjourn.
We need to vote on this, so.
Good grief.
Okay, so if they continue to talk, we'll just continue to talk. Okay, so, anyway, so that's what I got. If we put in the 113,000, the least expensive vendor is, for me, reliable.
What is the 113,000 again?
That was the estimate with salary plus benefits, IPERS, assuming they.
Of
They
one,
hire
one
an-
position?
One person.
Yes.
One person.
Right.
So if you put in salary plus FICA plus IPERS plus benefits, assuming the I'm using 31,000 for benefits.
Oh,
Is that too high?
you know, I'll
Because
tell you
that's what's
what,
in there
right
now.
now, if you look at the budget as submitted, you've got, that doesn't make any sense, 14.
Because the FICA, I pulled the calculations off the federal site.
Right,
And IPERS, I pulled off the IPERS site, and then I created the formula, so you just plug in a
so
salary.
again, what is the salary again you had in there?
She said 119.
170, I said
You're gonna pay
70.
someone $119,000?
No, that's not what I said. It was 70,000.
Yeah, but you had all the stuff in it.
Well,
You gotta add
I'm
everything.
just,
Okay.
give me some math here.
So 70,000, FICA was 5355, IPERS was 6608,
Uh-huh,
and then I used the most expense, assuming they have a family, 31,700 for benefit costs. And then I got a total of 113,663.
What do we pay our current people?
So I can tell you that the combination here is of what existing, did you guys have that on your matrix, what we?
No, I just have the formula.
Okay, so, no, I meant like what it's current, what are currently.
Yes, we have it on the matrix.
Okay.
Currently what I had, well, I'm using fiscal 27 numbers, I'm not using fiscal 26.
I agree.
So for fiscal 27, assuming a 3% increase, the total just with salaries is 135,888.19.
And not benefit, but not health insurance?
Not health insurance, no.
And then what is the cost of the actual janitorial?
The actual, you mean the supplies? That's
Well,
included?
I mean, so the point is like, I hear you talking about and I'm not trying to be difficult, I'm just trying to understand.
Mhm.
So we've got this position that's gonna remain, and then you have the janitorial supply and services. What is that piece?
So that was
It
a question
depends.
I think you brought up. Currently, we're budgeting $21,000 for custodial supplies. If we outsource, that's going to probably go away mostly.
Oh, no.
But I didn't know if we wanted to keep a placeholder in there for something.
Yeah.
So I left that blank on the matrix for the board to consider.
Yeah, that wasn't gonna go away, if they had like certain allergies, they have to go like that.
So you said $21,000 you wanna keep as a placeholder,
No,
even
no.
though your vendor is gonna be
No, I'm
supplying
saying
it.
that it's currently in there right now. I'm asking the board if they want to change that placeholder from 21,000 and lowering it, because if we outsource, that's gonna either probably go away mostly. I mean, I think we should have something in there,
Yeah.
but I didn't know how much. Because we have a heck of a lot of supplies down in the basement.
Well, take a step back here, because I'm showing fiscal year 27 cost for just salaries, FICA, IPERS, and benefits at 190,000. Our current, well, let's validate that then.
You don't know, and you're making.
Cause it's on your you fill
I
that
think
in,
it's 100, I think it's 183,770.
you fill that in, Heather.
Mhm.
I've got 114,403 for the regular employees, 21,870 for the part-time.
And now, I think that's one we have to check. Wasn't that one of the salaries I had to check, we needed to check?
That's true, I think so.
Yeah, cause the one in my matrix, I'm using the different salaries than it's in yours. Because,
What are they different?
for Chip, for the, with 3% increase, it'd be 64,454. Got 6.8, Steve Bush, 50,497.03. Alex, 20,936.48. For a total of 135,888.19.
Okay.
And that section was one of the things I wanted you to double check, because I thought we didn't have enough in there.
So that's what's on our spreadsheet, then we had FICA, IPERS, benefits at 31,700.
And I'm just using the benefits at 31, I don't know if that's accurate or not, because again, we have benefits
31,700.
outstanding, like, that's kind of a.
Yeah.
So I just put it in there for consideration, it could be more. Because right now in the budget. Right now, for health insurance in the budget, it was 31,700 for 2.5 employees. So I don't know if that actually shows a decrease, Michelle. I'm wondering if that's too low.
I don't trust what was entered last year. Do you understand what I'm saying?
So-
I don't trust it at all.
So by rights, we could take it by half, because the third employee doesn't have benefits, right?
He doesn't have any.
So say it's 15.
Well, if you take,
Half
the
of
take
31,
the actual
so-
current number that we received, you've got employee plus family. Monthly times 1507.
Oh, so then that would be accurate. That would be accurate.
Yeah.
31,700.
But it wouldn't, yeah, it would, yeah.
So
but that
the
would.
total is 190.
That's our part, so if I'm gonna do, and that's the high deductible. So it's gonna be that's our portion, is 1507 times 12, I get 18,084.
for,
That's the 11.6%.
Per employee.
For that employee,
For
if
that
he gets a
employee.
full family, or
Okay.
she gets a full family.
so then let me change that first. So then the total cost for an employee, if, for a facilities manager, if we do 70,000, FICA, IPERS and benefits, assuming 18,000.
Well, that's what the sheet
Yeah.
paper says.
But would be a total of 99,963 in cost.
Plus the cost of the janitorial.
Right, and we haven't agreed on that number yet. So if we wanna put in, what do we wanna put in for janitorial? 5?
So this is your 99,630 is your facility person.
You know, so you can pay
Let's just do an even
less.
100,000.
You're gonna make it 100,000.
So, that would still, if I plug in the numbers, that would still show quite a bit of savings for outsourcing. It's still keeping an employee and then outsourcing the custodial. So,
So one thing we would have to identify, if we pursue that, is what happens when the building manager's on vacation? Or, what are we gonna do to, we have a background, there's potential cost there if we're asking custodials.
now, every bidder that we got had emergency on call on there, had their bid on there. So what we could do is we could coordinate with whoever, should the board choose, and whoever wins the bid.
I'll show myself out, but
We would have
we don't
to-
care about you saving money on the HR people.
So,
We want our county employees to continue.
Deputies,
You guys go
sheriff,
out.
can we have this woman removed, please?
Thank you for your time and your caring.
anyway, so.
I don't have it.
We could always do, we could coordinate their on vacation, we can always coordinate with them and do an emergency call out, so we have that availability. And then we would only pay for those actual emergency
If
call out.
they needed to call them.
So it's,
Yeah.
so the facilities, building manager would be in charge of coordinate that with the vendor.
Make sure that they're on
And
standby.
all of them quoted emergency call out on their bids.
How long does it take them to get here? So your
Well,
point, your
there's
toilet
a
pipe is
response
broken.
time, there's a response time defined in RFP of 2 hours for an emergency.
So your toilet's busted and leaking all over, you
Hence,
wait 2
hence
hours.
why we would like to
Well,
have
Diane,
a
the
person
idea,
on site.
the idea is we have a person on site, this would only happen if he was on vacation. So, I don't think that's unacceptable. So did you wanna say your top 2?
So my, top 2 were PPI and Christine Green.
Good cheapest.
No,
No.
actually, they're not the cheapest.
Reliable was the cheapest, but
Yeah,
I
it
have
was thrown
concern,
out.
I have concerns that they did not have they did not plan for enough manpower of what our needs would be.
Okay,
Is it every day that you're cleaning?
that was part of the RFP, is to have your basic cleaning every day, and then you had a weekly, and then you had a monthly. It's staggered hierarchical, different duties.
Christine and PPI did a really good job of covering the specific scope tests in their proposals as well. And where I really liked, PPI,
Is that app?
I love that app.
Yes.
And they have this app called Swept software, live scheduling, inspections, logbooks, and details. They do a federal background check, not just a state. And I also loved their color coding for their microfiber that they use for their cleaning processes.
So they could keep separate, the ones they're cleaning,
Where was PPI from?
their headquarters in Minnesota, but they have local folks.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
So. they have
Love
local
it.
folks
That's a great idea.
representation, So, they have local people. So mine was actually Reliable and TPI, and they both scored the same, but for different reasons. Reliable's score was higher because of the lower price, but I offset that with PPI because I really like the technology to where our employees, if there's an issue, they go to the app, they put in a ticket. I know you like that. You put in a ticket and, it's documented when it's taken care of. So the response is, well, it was impressive to me based on what I looked at. Pristine Green was actually my third choice, but those were the top three.
Okay.
Diane, what are your thoughts?
It's awful. I think, like you like to point out, I was long-term government worker, and when you outsource government to private sector government, you get screwed every time. That's why you pay $189 for a hammer. This is a terrible idea.
You're actually making the argument to outsource it, cause
I am not
private
making the
enterprise can
argument.
usually do it a lot more efficiently than government can.
No, not when government
Yeah,
to
they
government, no,
Diane,
no.
you do realize.
All right, I move to cease, let's vote. You already know what you're gonna do, so vote.
We've already discussed it between the two of them.
So, just so you know, Diane, our conservation folks actually outsource their cleaning. And, the state outsources their custodial services.
I
Always have to
also
have the last
cease-
word.
What did she say?
So you're calling the question.
We do the damn cleaning.
So-
Let's make a motion to,
Okay.
let's vote.
So, so you like, Christine was my third. PPI was my, PPI and reliable were actually scored exactly the same. The only difference is, so with using the $100,000 number, after that, assuming that, that cost for that remaining employee, position, PPI would have a savings of $60,997 a year.
What's it gonna cost?
Pristine Green would have a savings of $70,653 a year. And then Reliable was gonna have an $80,853 a year. And that is the savings after all the costs are accounted for. So yeah, that's assuming we have one position remain, the FICA, the IPERS, the benefits, and that we are having custodial supplies at 5,000. Hold on, just, yeah. So, let me redo that real quick.
So PPI is your Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Why not? Send all your money out.
So, hold on a second, let me redo those numbers real quick, because I think I had a digit wrong. Bear with me a second.
If you wanna say them out loud, so I can type them on my sheet.
Yeah, I'm gonna double check the numbers real quick. So for benefits, are we budgeting 18,000? Right?
I'm scared to say yes, but yeah, I mean,
No, we kinda don't know.
Wait, I mean, that's, I thought that's what we were budgeting this year.
I thought you were gonna go 100 total, 100,000.
Well, we gotta break it
No,
down.
I have to break,
by
I have to break
lines.
it down for savings here, so,
Are you sure you wanna pay them that much?
No,
No.
you should offer low. See what you do.
This is
Well,
just a placeholder.
We're gonna
for
budget
now.
70.
it's just a placeholder, it's just a placeholder.
Do you need me to do that on my sheet?
I'm sorry.
Because IBER should equal 8672. And FICA is I think that adds both. You better do the FICA because mine adds the part-time wages. Oh, you know what, I'll zero that out. There you go. 5355 is what you had for $70,000.
Okay, so for 70,000, FICA is 8672, and IPERS is 5355, and then.
And I apologize, IBERS is actually 6608,
Oh,
which is what you had.
6608, okay. So So that total is,
85,280. Then we gotta add the health insurance.
so adding health insurance, it's 103,280.
What is it?
103,280.
280.
Should add 18,000 for that.
I put 18,000.
Yeah, I've got 100,143.
100,143?
Yes.
That's okay.
So this is your building and ground facility.
Use your
or whatever
building
you call it.
manager.
Building
Well, if
manager.
that's what you guys
That's
decide.
the final title,
That is the final title?
if that's the final title. Okay, so what I wasn't accounting for was benefits and my total estimated savings, so,
What if you can't get anybody for that?
well, then we'll have to reevaluate. Okay, so reliable was 43,000, pristine green was 33,000, and PPI was 24,000. in savings.
I'm sorry, can you give the what it is?
What are you taking? For what? Oh, for the
If you take the
supplies.
cost
Yes,
of
we
the,
took the supplies down. So I don't think we're gonna have to worry about that, but,
There's enough at public health with tons of stuff.
Can I ask, who was 43?
reliable,
All right.
pristine was 33, PPI was 20, well, it's not quite 24, we'll just do 24,
Okay.
okay?
And that's an annual?
Annual savings. Now, the savings will change depending on who we decide, how we decide to do that that remaining position, and what they choose for health insurance, and that type of thing. So, okay, so you're back to, it sounds like you're leaning towards CPI.
You're not saving any money.
yeah, I basically voted reliable because I just, like I said, I don't think that they have enough labor calculated in this.
Reliable was terrible,
You think the same?
No.
Okay.
I would not pick reliable.
And they were the lowest bidder, but I think I think it's an
underbid.
Yeah, I think they underbidded myself.
Okay.
I do agree with that.
Okay.
And so, you know, I was a little surprised by Pristine Green, $72,000 quote, but then they had $10,800 to add elderly services, which I think is ridiculously high. So I guess given that, then I
they're
lean
up to
toward
82.
PPI. 81,656.
So, now keep in mind though, PPI does not include optional. Reliable's quote with the savings includes all the optional. So the savings technically is gonna be probably more with Reliable because they're including everything and PPI is not. Pristine Green does not include the optional either. So,
And I love that Reliable's local.
yes.
They've got a good reputation. So, I mean, they were super close. They were super close in my top three. My top three were all really close to each other.
So
I could be convinced.
PPI, Pristine, and Reliable are all local people. And those are the ones who are my top three. But I really like that whole app thing. I think the employees would like that. Being able to put in a ticket immediately on the phones and have that response.
And just have the tracking and just have the data.
So we know exactly what's going on, so then we can prepare budget-wise for what's needed. I'm torn.
I know, and I wasn't thrilled that they didn't have any Iowa-based, references included, but, you know, you gotta break into an area somehow.
Well, I've received, calls from the vendors asking when we're gonna decide. So,
Well, Pristine Green is in Iowa, but they do, I did call them. you have to take your own trash to receptacles.
Well, in your,
And if
do
you have,
do they mean the trash in the receptacle in your office?
yeah, you go take it before it somewhere, and if you don't, if there's anything sensitive in your office, you just put it outside the door, they don't come in.
Well, that was part of the RFP, is to, can they do that? And that was one of the questions that, the supplemental questions that was asked and answered. The consensus I got from the employees is that they didn't want any cleaning in their offices when they weren't there. So anything after hours or the hallways and all, open rooms that were not offices would be done. We didn't need people here, but that was one of the questions that was supplemental, is that offices were not being cleaned when there wasn't employees present. So.
And I do know that, like I said, Reliable, they have a good reputation and they've got some good client base.
So you're leaning towards Reliable, is that what you're leaning towards?
I could be convinced.
I really like that communications app though.
Yeah, that's the downside. And I also, it's the federal background checks versus just the state.
Mm-hmm.
I really do like that as well.
We get double the savings with Reliable though.
Who does your background checks go to, your building manager?
What do you mean?
Oh, when they do a background check, how do you know they do it? Does that go to your building manager to know that you haven't hired criminals? I mean, where does that go?
They'll be bonded, the companies are bonded.
So, you're saying you want a copy of the background check of all their employees?
Well,
They can't share that because.
How do you know they even do a background check?
Well, what is their policy? That's why I looked at what is their policy for all hires, and that's exactly why I didn't like the KUSS proposal.
That
Because
looked like
said-
it was done via ChatGPT.
Well, and it wasn't a guarantee they would even do a background check on the employees. So
Yeah.
all of the other responders, it's an absolute that they would do it. It's just a question of what level of background check you do.
So,
They do Reliable does GPS tracking. I mean,
that's true, they do that. Well, we could always try them, and if it doesn't work, move on to a different company.
What are you gonna try?
Reliable.
Reliable.
well,
But again, something like the one with this, I think the employees would like that.
well, is it worth 17 grand a year? You know, actually more than that, because they don't have the fourth building in this, well, correct, versus Reliable.
Reliable includes it.
Can I just ask a question?
So,
It's just a cleaning question.
Can you step up to the
Oh, right
microphone? Thank you, Kylie.
are all the questions that you had kind of were talking about?
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay, so if we're not present, cause we did say that, 100%, I agree with that. So if we're not present and, they come when they're like the scheduled date, like, how are we gonna, like, what's the schedule like? I just,
Just you on one day, they get you the next day.
okay, so they're gonna come every day then?
There's,
or-
the bid was for daily, and
Okay,
then there's weekly, and then there's monthly, and then there's an annual. So on the RFP, it gave you what's done, expectations for daily, weekly, monthly, and annual, and that's what they put out. So your basic annual, like, cleaning out the trash bins, basic cleaning, making sure the bathrooms are restocked, that kind of stuff, that's daily, and then the more complicated stuff, weekly, monthly. So it's in the RFP exactly what their expectations are.
so how do we know, like, what we are doing as a county, or like are we, as an office, like, choosing what we want, or how does that? Like, I guess I'm just a little confused, like, how are we?
Did you determine the cleaning schedule for your office and advise the current custodial staff? Did you determine what that was?
No.
Yeah.
So he just cleans it every day, doesn't he?
We just clean it every day. Well,
Yeah.
Well, some, not all.
Well, we probably have to,
They've decided they have.
so it's gonna be the same way, it's gonna be scheduled.
Okay.
Staff will we'll let the employees know when things are scheduled, so you know.
Okay.
And then for whatever reason, like if you have an emergency meeting or something like that,
Right.
what they do is they log it, and then they come back and do it, and they have to report as to why it wasn't done that day.
Sure.
So that way, you know, and if you guys have issues or, hey, I need to let them know this, then you would follow up with whoever the building manager is, and let them know, hey, I can't have anybody, we're having a huge audit, I can't have anybody coming in here for a week. Then they would share that with the team.
So I just didn't know who was like deciding like who, if we're weekly or monthly or however, you know.
No, yeah.
Okay.
So,
Alright,
okay,
makes more sense, thank you.
you're welcome. Did I miss any of your other questions?
I don't know, I'd have to pull up my phone.
Here, I'll pull them up to make sure.
They're here if you want them, here.
Okay, I wanna make sure.
Like
we
the
capture-
window washing, she asked about, I mean,
That's
they've got part of them, but we
Yeah.
contract out.
That we contract out, that's
Yeah.
not part of the current custodial, that was not part of it, so
Okay.
it'll
I'll be here in
continue,
about a week.
it'll continue as is.
Okay, yeah, I just wondered if that was part of, since it was like an outsource already, you know, that kind
No,
of
we're
thing.
not touching that.
And then the emergency response,
Right.
there's a 2-hour emergency response time,
And
4
then
hours for non-emergencies.
The ice and all that and the snow, that sort of thing, I guess that would be more,
That would be
I guess I'm assuming,
the building manager.
right, so. I feel like all the questions kind of were.
Okay, all right,
Thank you, Karen.
thank you, Connie. Okay, so,
I could be, I mean, reliable, what I love is strong Iowa municipalities, that they've been with a lot of municipalities.
I know, so they have a lot of experience with government.
They do. So I could absolutely be convinced to select reliable, and that would be a much greater savings. Now, we would have opt-out if they weren't doing a good job, right? And they would be in breach of contract, and we could make a change.
Then you gotta fight a breach of contract.
Well, no different than what we've done before down here. On other stuff. Okay, so then I'll entertain a motion to choose a vendor for custodial.
I'll make a motion that we approve reliable for the custodial services,
How much?
$45,600.
45,000.
I'm sorry, 61, okay, let me go back.
It was
61,800.
61A, yeah. There were 2 different schedules in there.
It was a 55 and a 61, I think.
And then you guys show a savings of 70,000, 559
For
per year,
reliable,
if you choose them.
no, it's less than that.
That's the savings.
Because we built in higher salary for the.
I have that built in.
Okay.
I have 166, well, I have, what you told me was that with insurance, and then the $5,000 custodial supply on top of that.
Yeah, I had a digit wrong.
143.
I had a digit wrong on that. So that was for reliable, it was, get back to that screen. Okay, assuming a salary of 70,000, FICA 8672, IPER 6608, benefits 18,000. And then, so that, you had given me 100,143 as the total cost for a building manager.
I had 103,280.
I didn't have
It's
that.
103,280.
103,280,
Yeah.
let me put that in. Okay, so that gives us with reliable, including a 4th building, savings of $35,573.88. If we don't include the building, 4th building,
Well, you need to, I mean, there's no fees.
well, right now, the elderly services building is cleaned by.
That's true, they do their own in the front.
We had asked them to bid, and if we ever do those offices, we had asked them to know what the cost would be. Cause I wanted to account for that, cause I don't wanna be surprised with charges. So all the vendors were supposed to bid on that. So if we don't include the optional services, let's see here. The savings is $51,773.88.
But you better include them for budget reasons. So the really hard numbers, the 35, 7, and 8, because you're gonna have to include it for budget.
That's worst case scenario.
Yeah, you better include it,
Okay.
be sure.
So, so there's a motion to, approve Reliable as the custodial vendor at a cost of $61,800. And that includes all the optional services and the fourth building. Do I have a second? I will second that. Any discussion? All in favor, please vote aye. Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
Okay, motion carries. All right, so we're gonna move on to the HR, outsourcing, resolution. So I'll entertain a motion, well, we wanna talk about it first.
Let's talk about it.
So, okay, so proposed vendor costs,
All over the place and very hard to calculate with the hours, so.
right, so what I did was, I just basically used an average of hours. Like Michelle, I kinda tossed out Brick Gentry.
I threw them out, right?
CPS HR Consulting, I threw them out because I couldn't figure out what it would cost.
The CPS, you struck those two.
I struck those two, yeah. So, I struck Acumen because that cost was just
It
outrageous.
is crazy.
And then Elevate Consultings and, Peoplist, were higher, so I did not. Peoplist?
It was way too expensive.
Yeah. So the two ones that I was left with from a cost perspective was PJ Growth and Skywalk Group. I actually called the references in PJ Group, who all Iowa counties that they work for, all spoke very highly of them.
Lawsuits.
So,
Lawsuits.
then, please stop interrupting.
Then be upfront about
Stop
his record.
interrupting, or
It's
you'll
a
be
matter of
removed.
public record.
Stop interrupting or you'll be removed.
Do your homework.
So anyway, Skywalk Group is the other one.
Also great money.
So I called the references on that one too. They did not give any county or municipal references, but the ones I did call spoke highly of them.
It's
So,
only 40 hours a month though, Kelly's, and this is cheaper, it's cheaper to keep Kelly.
no,
Yep.
Yes, it is.
Yep.
wait, 36,000.
Skywalk was 96, it's 15 hours a week is all.
Okay, so when we asked them to bid, we gave them an RFP of what our expectations were. And the vendors came back with the cost of those expectations. So these vendors believe that
They
what
can do it
really-
in 15 hours a week.
Right.
Okay,
So what I did for Skywalk, I basically calculated it based on what they gave. So my total cost for Skywalk was $86,400. And, the annual cost for HR was, well,
How many hours did you factor in for Skywalk? 86.4, you said?
40 hours a month is what
well,
they
they gave a tier. The first few months was higher, and then it went lower.
Cause I was using 20 hours a week as a benchmark, just so
I just
I
used
was
what-
consistent.
I
It
just
said
said
50, I think it said 15.
I just used what they gave,
15.
because I didn't wanna assume. So, so yeah, that's what I just used, what they gave. And that's how I got that cost. So
Well-
obviously, if they put in more hours, it's gonna cost more money.
Yeah, it looked to me like Groove was the lowest, but yet they just stated minimum of 40 hours a month. So, in this initial look, it doesn't seem worth the savings to me, to put our employees through this transition and to eliminate this position and not have somebody on site. I think it's important to have HR representation on site, to serve the employee needs. Now, that being said, I do not believe that's a full-time job.
Okay.
Currently.
Based on the bids, they don't think it's a full-time job either. Now, with, PJ though, they did say they'd be on site in their bid. And we have a bunch of counties, some of them the same size as ours, that use them.
What I wonder is if we could explore a hybrid, where we have a part-time on-site HR person, and then contract the other services that we needed.
Then keep her and give her to, the auditor's office.
She's under me anyway.
But we could have, if you don't think she has a full-time job, then set a limit on what it is and then have her be board clerk or something else.
Yep. Or she could just be a full-time auditor, staff person, because you have a vacancy.
She could do both, she could be HR and if
So-
that's agreeable. Cause I don't think, we had
Thank you, Jessica, for what you said.
So the reason why we did this is because we wanted to see if we could figure out savings. And I think this was valuable in showing that our county isn't big enough to justify a full-time position. So, so we can have some savings. How we go about doing that is up to the board to decide.
After you're done with it.
So we can, if we do this with PJ Grove, based on what they did, it's
Oh,
gonna save
no,
us
no.
Can I please,
$48,000.
offer up something then?
Yeah.
did you research that? Did you research?
So
We
I really do need to probably share this with you, I don't know if you're aware. But, HR specialist Paul Roof, is, being sued for torturous interference with all defendants. And the jury trial is set for August 7th, 2026.
What county is this in?
This is Tama.
Just go up and pull his cross.
Just Google.
I called.
Oh, guys, come
I'm
on.
sorry.
Please, come on.
Please, so I'm saying, when I talk about introducing, let us figure this out.
So.
I don't want to bring another person who is chaos.
Which county is that?
We can't.
He actually works with Alan Osterberg,
Yep.
Tama County.
Are you done, Brenner? Cause you're gonna be asked to leave. You should have been asked to leave a long time ago.
Vicky, can
So
you please leave? Can you please
I'm
leave?
just-
No.
I'm done with your interruptions. You're being asked to leave.
But
Sharon,
everybody else who's interrupted is fine.
Can you please, Vicky
She needs to
continues,
count.
she's been interrupting our meetings for the
But
last
my
year. Can you
point
please
is, I
remove
just-
her?
interrupting yourself.
Can you please remove her?
Michelle,
Michelle?
that's my
Deputy
concern.
Allen, would you
can you
please
tell me what
remove Ms.
county
Brenner?
that is?
This is
I'm
Tama
done with
County.
the interruptions.
Cause I called Tim County.
I know, and I called Hartford County, and they didn't want him. So again, I just am concerned. I was concerned about the
And
price.
let's be
I
careful
was
how much
concerned
we
of-
say, because
I'm just saying concern, I'm just using public, I can't do it.
No, I understand, it. and I
Please.
called Tim County and they didn't say anything.
You got your escort waiting for you.
Who's chair, only the chair can have somebody
Ms.
removed, not
Supervisor
you.
I've
Stansel?
already,
She's the
I've
chair.
already asked Tom, and.
Well, she does it all the time though,
And
she
she's not-
acts like she's
Okay.
walking over you,
So I appreciate that, Tom, I appreciate that.
but you're the chair, you take control.
I would like, you guys.
Nice
No,
thing
I
that you fucking
appreciate
meeting,
that
throw
feedback.
concerned
I
citizens out of it,
appreciate
like
all
that.
of
All over.
But Tama did not.
I believe you, I just had it
I
on.
think the public needs to be aware that we do not have a,
So,
Fine,
You know what? I do
you're
too.
interrupting our
I
proceedings.
don't really care, because
So-
people need to be aware that we do not have a board of
Deputy-
supervisors. We have two wannabe think they're the bosses.
so, thank you. Michelle, I appreciate you bringing that up. Okay. But to your point, I think that it's accurate that we do not have, could justify a full-time staffer.
Jess,
you
let's
actually
discuss.
have, you actually have openings, so.
I will work
So
on that.
if we can, figure out a way to
But-
cut some costs.
But would you at least, yes, so I will bring that to you Wednesday. I don't wanna cut her salary, because I think if you're going to pay $75 for this person, I'm not suggesting she gets a $30 an hour raise. But I also don't want to lowball her into,
Well, if we move her, I'm just thinking out loud here. If we move her to like a deputy position in your office, because I know HR is done by auditor's offices in other counties.
It used to be.
That would that not be?
A lot of HR.
if you could just let me evaluate the numbers and get back to you.
So what I would like to consider, to your point, is moving the HR position to a part-timer
Well,
in our
let's,
budget.
let's do her, yeah, but we can move her.
But what
Have her do 2 offices, yeah.
What we do need to do though is you need to address the resolution on the table, and then we're gonna put this on as something I can bring to you, a
Cause we
resolution.
need to make a decision by Wednesday.
Well, obviously,
Well,
there's a
so
lot of
let's-
decisions that we need to make.
Let's table this until.
We can't table the resolution.
We can't table the resolution, well, we
We
can
could,
table it,
but
we could.
again,
Yeah.
I think we got past an answer.
So I think that, probably a better rather than tabling is, saying that we decide not to move forward with
Outsourcing.
outsourcing.
All right, and what could we could move her, can we pay her?
I'm not willing to talk about, I'm very tired right now.
We can't,
I,
you're looking kind of.
So let's
Me?
just,
I've been up since 5, I've driven to Muscatine and back, so
all
I'm,
right, I will make a
So-
motion to not move forward with outsourcing human resources. And then we'll discuss from there. How's that?
Is there a
I'll
second?
second that.
Okay, any discussion?
And then we'll talk more details on Wednesday regarding what.
Because
and then I
we
can involve Kelly in it, because I do think she's going to feel, I feel a little insulted that it's not a full-time job, but it may not be a 20-hour week job, so I think we need to do, because that was a real list. I mean, that was a real list that we came up with, and so again, just like I utilized Lance in 2 different roles with 2 different salaries, that may be the case as well, so.
So, yeah,
Are
if
we
you
there?
can figure that out and get us some savings, I think that would be great. So, cause that's the goal of all this was.
I think we voted.
No, we don't, we're still in discussion. We're still in discussion.
Well, Fitch and Hobbs voted to not outsource this at this
First and a
point.
second, all in favor of not moving forward with the outsourcing of HR, please vote aye. Aye, all opposed, okay, motion carries. All right, well,
I make a motion to adjourn.
anything else? Oh,
We're ready for the meeting tomorrow, we're ready for the thing tomorrow night, and we're ready for 2 o'clock, we've gotta get an agenda out tomorrow morning first thing.
What's the meeting at what time?
Let's see, there's a 1 o'clock for the
1 o'clock.
challenge.
I got it.
okay, and then 2 o'clock is on Wednesday, and then we have the public hearing for the budget. Tomorrow at
That's the levy for the.
The max
proposed
levy.
Just the max
That's
levy.
at 6 p.m.
Sorry, max levy, yeah.
And we're all ready for that, what?
The hearing tomorrow is where?
Here.
Here.
1 o'clock.
Here?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, do I have a motion to adjourn? Second?
Yeah, we already did, yes.
Okay, all in favor, aye, we are taking.
Alex.
You know,